Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi Outs here. It's Tuesday morning, and the Raptors are enjoying a double W day yesterday, beating the Utah Jazz organization at both levels, the G League level and the NBA level. And it was done at the Delta Center, both games. That's right. And Markelle Fultz played in both games, making his Raptors debut last night, beating the Salt Lake City Stars at noon yesterday, and then beating the Utah Jazz later on that night at 9. But yeah, it was fun. We got to react to 2 wins and get in the double W on a Monday against the Jazz. Yeah, it was awesome. Good stuff. I love it. It's so good. We needed that in some ways. You guys saw that the referees called a lot of fouls and gave a lot of foul shots to the Utah Jazz last night. Yeah. But I thought overall, Scott Foster and his cronies were pretty fair for the most part in the game. I bet you if they had the chance to manipulate the game with a closer margin, they would have. In fact, they were kind of trying to think about it and give some energy to feeding a crazy comeback when they did the wrong call on a possession. The ball went out of bounds and it was lost by Jonathan Bobo, but it actually went off Kyle Filipowski's hand. But Scott Foster wanted to give the ball to the Jazz because they were eating up our really big lead that we built in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, and they had gotten the lead down to 12 with like 2 minutes to go. And that in the NBA today is a doable uh, margin to make up if you're a fairly capable NBA team. But the Jazz aren't. They're younger, they're disorganized, and they don't totally know what they're doing. But that was a little bit of a sign that Scott Foster, if given the chance, he would have screwed us over, guys, because that Darko had to challenge that call, and he got the successful challenge. Scott could not deny that the ball went off the Mormon Filipowski's hand into the out of bounds. And yeah, and Darko rightfully challenged the right call. And then Shed hit this crazy 3-point shot to break his missed 3-point streak, which was basically half court, and that was the dagger. Yeah, it was a fun game. I liked this game because we got to see a lot of weird combinations in the lineups. We got to see extended looks on people we haven't seen a whole lot yet, like Grady Dick, a whole lot more lately, Markelle Fultz and Grady Dick, and people like that. Jamison Battle getting way more run. It was a fun game. In some ways, it was loose, it was goofy, but also it was eye-opening on some things. And I'm just glad that the Raptors took care of business. I think it was a blessing in disguise that Bi was a scratch right before tip-off. He was literally going to play, and then 5 minutes before the game started, they said, "No, Brandon's going to sit out this one." I think that was smart. I think in some ways his pride is that he wants to play as many games this whole season as he can. But it's the second night of the back-to-back. You've done such a good job of being in games this whole year, Ingram, that there's no slouch in like missing 2 or 3 games this season and playing 79 games in the year. But you're not going to keep him off the court for too long. And in some ways, this was a good game for him to sit out on the second night of a back-to-back against the lowly Utah Jazz. Really, really good for Jacoby. Really good for Shed with Emmanuel not playing either. We'll talk about Emmanuel's injury and what I think about it right now. I mean, I don't think it's that serious, guys. I think that this is a case where, they saw the opponent, the Jazz, and, the Jazz have all their best players out hurt and all kinds of stuff. In some ways, we do this. NBA teams do this. They measure up and equalize the sides. And sometimes they'll go into the locker room earlier in the day and say, "Hey, who's got something nagging? Who's got something that's kind of bugging them right now? I want you to sit tonight because we want to have less people available, like of the high caliber." And maybe Emmanuel's like, "My foot's been kind of bothering me a little bit." Okay, foot. Plantar fasciitis. Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and put that out there because in some ways you can't prove plantar fasciitis. You can and you can't. But like to the NBA, you could come to the people that are injury people and that come and check, and it's like, why did he sit out? Plantar fasciitis. Oh, okay. It's a foot thing, but it's the kind of injury that can kind of be okay in an instant. So I think that in some ways the plantar fasciitis is a little bit kind of like a made up thing. I have an ouchie on my foot. It may not be full plantar fasciitis, but we can say that this is what it is so that we can justify quickly out today. Now, if it's worse, if he is going to miss more time, well, we called up Markel Fultz and we can explore him in our lineup more going forward. And Shed will probably, get the starting job for a little while and he'll get to tidy up his game a little bit more with maybe less pressure because he's not so worried about filling in the backup point guard role and getting minutes tethered to whether he's being successful or not. So yeah, that's what I think about that whole quickly thing. Because I know Monique was texting me in the middle of the day and she's a little freaked out about Emmanuel's injury. And I was trying to calm her and saying, I don't think this is as bad as it sounds, because the press is going to make it sound worse than it is because that's what they want. They want engagement. They want to rile people up. But to me, it smacks of we're playing the Jazz. We need an excuse to have you out. And we'll just say it's this. So, Brandon's excuse was a heel or something like that. And, of course, after the game, Michael Grange is getting all Eeyore and Chicken Little and sad. Oh, no, Brandon's out. Darko, are you worried about his heel being a very bad thing for going forward and all this stuff? Y'all always talking the worst case scenario. Eeyore and that shit. Darko, is Brandon's heel okay? And is making it all sound worse. In some ways, that's their fucking job, is to make things sound worse for the Raptors and never, trying to talk them up or trying to get good things for them. Every single thing they can talk about to tear them down in any kind of way, they will pull that string on that sweater. Oh yeah, they will. And that's why they're always looking for negative questions in the media scrum and always asking crazy ass shit like, Jakob, don't you worry about your back acting up and getting all hurt again. No, I don't, Danielle Michaud. And I know that you are Danielle Michaud because I can see you, but you sound like Michael Grange. All right, let's check in with the chat right away. We got the stars of the game. I've got a straight goods on Canadian goods. It's going to be memorable today. That's for sure. And we've got the Raptors Redditor of the day, Instagram stories, all the different fun daily segments we do. The classic card of the day near the end, of course. We'll get through it all. That's right. We'll get through this winning. Yes. I feel good about the Clippers tomorrow now, too. I really do. Let's see. All right, Trevor J. Words of wisdom. Thank you, Commissioner Fun, Trevor J. I'm going to have to call you and talk to you at some point soon because I have some things I need to ask you. But either way, let's see what Trevor's saying this morning. Everything will make sense someday. So for now, laugh at your mistakes, smile through the tears, and keep reminding yourself that everything really does happen for a reason. Man, this word of wisdom, we hear it sometimes in different forms, but it's something I need to hear myself personally every once in a while because there is adversity in life. And, everybody has different issues and different things they got to face. And, some of them are a lot worse case. And some of them are kind of like, yeah, why are you so upset? I wish I had your problems. Either way, when you have adversity in your life, there's a lesson to be taught. And also, there is another side of it where the sun comes out another day. What is that song that Annie used to sing? The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. That's the thing. It's like in AA and in religion, they say this too shall pass. And sometimes the stormy storms that lead to calmer waters are just part of the test or the lesson and the thing to show the contrast of good in life and tough spots in life. But either way, I love this message. It's a message of perseverance and seeing yourself through and trusting yourself and getting to the other side. So thank you, Trevor J. Blessings to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. I really appreciate the Commissioner of Fun, Trevor Jones. Yes, I do. Trevor's saying this, great win for the Raptors. Jacoby is turning out to be a three-point shooter. And Murray-Boyles is back with 5 blocks and Battle knocked down 4 3-point shots. Yeah, we got good production in different places. We'll go look at the box score right now. Number one star for the game last night is going to be Scotty. Scotty's been the star of the game to me these last two games. And part of the reason why I gave it to Scotty, because we do have four guys that got 20 points in the starting lineup last night. That's fantastic. We didn't even have Brandon and Emmanuel, but we got four dudes to score over 20. And Scotty was one of them. He scored 20 points last night, which was great. Honestly, Scotty could have gotten 30 or 40 points last night in the setting against the Jazz. But once again, he's still trying to be unselfish and get everybody involved. In fact, we saw point guard Scotty get a double-double. 20 points, 10 assists. He had 7 rebounds. So if he had 3 more rebounds, he would have had a triple-double. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's all in 27 minutes too, which is about 10 minutes off of his normal stats for his minutes. So he did this in a smaller window of time on the court, didn't play big parts of the game, and he shot 8 for 10, which is really good. In fact, and the shots were high level. It's not like this man was dunking. You know, you can shoot 8 for 10 in the NBA like Artis Gilmore, and that's all next to the basket. That's easy. No, this man was shooting from range and mid-range and, yeah, stuff up close too. But, man, those turnaround shots, as Stargate said in our Discord server last night while we're watching the game, that man's looking like Patrick Ewing with his little turnaround baseline shots where he's, like, turning and shoo, whoo, like that. Man, and it's so on point. Thank you, Brian Macon. Thank you, Raptors coaches, for developing Scotty into such a great shooter. Like, you know, if there was a knock on Scotty Barnes coming out of Florida State in his draft class, he can't shoot. He's an amazing athlete. His metrics are off the charts with his body, his wingspan, his hand size, and his athletic ability and quickness for his size. But the knock on Scotty was he can't shoot. That man can't shoot. Well, he can now. It looks like it to me. And in some ways, we're just scratching the surface. This guy teases us. He's like, you know, in some ways, he's starting to be more dominant in certain stretches when he knows he should fill in the blanks and get a score. Maybe we're stagnating and Scotty brings the ball up the court and he muscles his way right next to the basket and gets a score just to stop the drought. Yeah, that's stuff RJ's been doing for a couple years now. You could do it too, Scott. When we're in trouble scoring, you could take it upon yourself to be a big boy on the babies and throw it down on their heads. Yeah. But I love the 8 for 10 shooting, and you guys saw where he was shooting from. He was shooting from some very interesting places. And as much as Ace Bailey hits shots with just all twine, no rim, so does Scotty. Scotty is zeroed in so that it's like you see it go through the center of the hoop, is barely touching iron, and it's going straight through the net. So, man, I love seeing Scotty's silky smooth shots and his footwork. And the other thing that's really good about his jump shots is his balance of squaring up, even when he's in motion, like with a turnaround or any of that kind of stuff. He always stays squared up with both legs, and he has a very, very good fundamental shot that's why it's going in like it is. So, yeah, salute to you, Scott. He was 1 of 2 from 3. He did hit a 3 as a buzzer beater at the end of a quarter, and it was a step back 3. Which shows really high level. And then he hit another buzzer beater later in the game. Scotty, you keep doing this, you might do it to win a game once sometime. You know what I'm saying? Scotty, you could win a game by hitting one of those sometime. I mean, you haven't really called your number to win games when it's crunch time. We need a basket for sure. But you could be that guy, and we saw you hit 2 buzzer beaters last night. 7 rebounds also for Scott. He made all 3 of his free throws. 4 turnovers, though. 1 steal and 1 block, a plus 16. Yeah, Scotty's my star of the game. But guess what? He wasn't the chain getter. No, he didn't get the chain last night. My second star of the game is Sandro Mamu. Sandro seemed like the MVP of this game for most of it because he was the middle of it all, this whirling dervish, the guy who is stirring everything up offensively and also doing really cool stuff on defense with his steals. Yeah, Sandro. This is the thing. You've gotten starts earlier this season, but you didn't score 10 points in some of those starts. I'm like, man, if you're going to be in the starting lineup, Sandro, you got to get double digits. It's just the rule. If you're going to be in the starting lineup, you should get double-digit scoring because we need that scoring off of the starters. Well, 32 minutes for Sandro, 23 points on 9 of 14 shooting. Yeah, he was locked in. His threes were looking way better last night. And the really most impressive thing about Sandro was the anticipation and the steals. He kept stealing the ball from the Jazz, and it was kind of like an old video game where you spam steal. There was a certain point later in the game where the Raptors just kept stealing the ball from them and running back and dunking it and laying it up. It felt like an NBA game on like Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis or like old school video game where you don't have a lot of buttons and you could just hit that steal button and run around the other guy on the team and they'll cough it up. Well, that's what Sandro was doing last night. He was like spamming steal. And well, he got 5 steals, which is not common for him. I mean, he'll get a steal 1 or 2 a game, maybe 2 at the most, maybe not get a steal at all in the game. But man, was he telegraphing the motions of the Jazz and jumping in that passing lane and getting fast break opportunities for the Raptors. Really, really cool stuff. 23 points for Sandro, 9 of 14 shooting, 3 of 6 at the three, 2 of 4 at the free throw line. There are guys on our team that seriously need to work on their free throw shooting. Seriously need to work on it. And Sandro's one of them. As Blake Murphy pointed out on Blue Skies last night, the Raptors shot better from 2-pointers and 3-pointers than at the free throw line last night. Yeah, that's messed up. Something's wrong there. 4 rebounds for Mamu, 2 assists with 0 turnovers, 5 steals, 1 block, a plus 25. Yeah, he really was like a real meaty part of the goodness of the Raptors and what they're doing on the court was Sandro Mamukelashvili and his contributions at both ends, hitting threes and stealing the ball. Hitting threes and stealing the ball. My third star of the game for last night is the underrated and often overlooked Canadian superstar RJ Barrett. He was actually our leading scorer last night. He outscored his minutes, 27 points in 25 minutes. He shot a scorching 10 of 15 from the field, including 4 of 5 from 3. Yeah, you got to love when RJ's locked in on the three-point shot, and he's just so money. The mechanics of RJ's shot are so interesting. His guide hand is held a certain way, and he really has a push to it. And the arm motion with his wrist is really a big part of why he does so well on his three-point shots. The wrist motion and the follow-through. And it's also a lot, just like Emmanuel, a lot of it has to do with setting his feet. If his feet are set a certain way and he has the right motion, it's money. Mamu had a 3 that he hit last night. And part of the reason why he hit it was because he jump popped at the top of the key like a bunny into his three-point shot. And it gave him a natural shooter's rhythm for him to shoot it very well and to see it go through the net. That's the thing. You want to have a set shot. You want to have mechanics. You want to have a rhythm. And these guys can get it in different ways. In some ways, you don't want to have too long to get into it. You want to have a quick shot. So if you can do the motion all in a split second and shoot it real fast, like RJ does, that's good. That's good. But yeah, 4 for 5 for RJ from beyond the arc. That's really, really good three-point shooting. He shot better there than the free throw line. 3 for 7 at the free throw line. Of course, the free throw line has been more improved with RJ recently, but there's still the lack of concentration at times where RJ's just like flubbing it. And I thought at one point this season, it was written in his contract, he had to mandatory miss 1 of 2 free throws whenever he sets up there. Fortunately for the Utah crowd, well, they got chicken because our team shoots such bad free throws. Now, we'll talk about who was at fault for that in a little bit. 2 rebounds, 6 assists with 0 turnovers. See, RJ's part of the record-breaking game that we did last night. Yeah, we broke a record for our franchise. The most assists in Raptors history happened again last night. We broke this record about 2 years ago against the Pistons in a game. And I remember nobody made a big deal out of it then. Well, we did it again. And it does seem like nobody's making a big deal out of it again, whether it's the NBA or even our own press, which is crazy. But yeah, RJ with a 6-0 assist to turnover ratio as a forward. That's good stuff right there. Yeah, plus 18 for Rowan Barrett Jr. Yeah, he couldn't get the win in front of his godfather in Phoenix the night before, but man, did he look good in Utah, playing the Jazz the next night. That's right. My fourth star is young Jacoby, and so far, none of these guys are the chain winner. That's the thing. These aren't the chain winner yet. Jacoby Walter got the start very late because Brandon got scratched at the very last second, and he was ready. It wasn't like, oh, you're in the starting lineup. Look out. No, he responded with his season high. The most points Jacoby Walter has scored all season. It's not his career high. He scored more last year in one of the games, but it's still, it's his best game this season. And the other thing that we're starting to see with Walter is a consistent level of double-digit scoring in every game. In his 2 years in the NBA, he hasn't consistently been able to get double digits in games. It'd be up and down. He'll have an outburst and have a really good game, and then the next game, he may not even score a single point. Well, he's got a string of like 4 or 5 games now where he's been getting double digits. And not only that, he's getting noted for supremely high 3-point field goal percentage right now. In fact, he has a stretch right now that he's so scorching hot on the threes right now that he is in the record books with some of the best 3-point shooters in recent times for this kind of percentage over a 4-game stretch. So Jacoby's kind of operating on a whole other level than average NBA guys, even for this year or any time, because he's on a list now of one of the hottest 3-point shooting streaks in NBA history, in the history of the whole league and all teams. So, man, respect Jacoby Walter's 3-point shot. They were asking him Jamal after the game, why is Jacoby shooting so well like this? And Jamal said basically, well, we all support him. The whole entire team supports him, and we encourage him, and he's put in the work, and it's showing on the court. And that's awesome. I love that. Jacoby Walter, 28 minutes, 21 points, 7 of 10 from the field. Another scorching good shooting performance by one of the Raptors. 6 of 8 at the 3-point line. He made his only free throw. 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block, a plus 27 for Walter, the highest plus minus on our team last night. He's just doing it on both ends. He's a great cover-up defender who can guard most guards and even some small forwards. And then he's got this dead-eye 3-point shot right now, and he's extremely confident in this. You'd think he was the one who won the 3-point shootout at Raptors Fan Day the other day. The way he's bombing these threes right now. Jacoby, I should salute you. You keep going, young man. You keep going, young man. The future is so bright for Jacoby Walter. I got to wear shades. That's just how it is. I got to wear shades because Jacoby Walter is like that. That's what I'm saying, yo. That's what I'm saying. All right, but he still don't have the chain winner of the game yet. Let's keep going. My 5th star of the game is Jamison Battle. Jamison Battle woke up, and they got the ball to him to shoot some threes, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I love seeing Battle Dick formation in the first quarter. It's been so long. Grady's been getting DMPs, and we all cry out and say, why don't we play Battle more? Why don't we play Battle more? What's going on with Battle? Well, we got to see Battle Dick formation, which is the ultimate floor spacer for the Raptors lineup. And we saw it. We saw a beautiful pass from Grady on one side, on one wing, passing it all the way over to the other side of the 3-point line to Jamison, and Jamison bombs a big-time 3. And, it's fantastic when he's hitting because he can be a lot of points real fast. So, yeah, Jamison Battle, 23 minutes, 17 points on 6 of 9 shooting overall, 4 of 7 at 3. Another fantastic shooting performance by one of the Raptors. 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 0 steals, 0 blocks, a -3. It's fun when Battle's hitting, right? Because he's so dangerous. It was like, oh, let's see how they can get him the ball and shoot it. Back in the day, we used to watch NBA teams feed the hot hand, and they had to be creative in the different ways they could get the ball to that person, because obviously everybody's like raising the alert on the other side, and they're like, we got to stop him. We got to stop this guy. He's hot. And then it's kind of like, how do NBA teams get creative with getting the ball to their hot hand and help them continue to be successful. Sometimes it's just a top level talent like Brandon Ingram, and they can just do it themselves. But sometimes if it's a player like Battle, to get him more shots, for him to get more threes, you've got to do things like run plays for him to get free and just look for him too. And I feel like if there's a hierarchy of looking for guys on this team, obviously the starters like Brandon and Scotty and RJ and Emmanuel are going to be at top of the list. But in some ways, I don't agree with some of the other guys in between being above Jamison Battle and Grady Dick, because both those guys in some ways are like dormant volcanoes that need to erupt. They are the kind of dudes that can get threes for us fast if they're in their zone. So yeah, salute to Jamison Battle. It's fun watching you play. And some people have been asking, why is Jamison in some ways better than Grady? It's because he's stronger, he's bigger, he rebounds better, and in some ways he's a better defender too. So yeah, but Jamison is not the guy who got the chain last night. He is not the one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do extended stars because this game was a rout. And we're going to do 7 stars plus. Colin Murray-Boyles is my 6th star. He returned to the lineup finally after I made some allegations yesterday. He's like, I don't think he cares about playing for the Raptors. Well, he showed me some stuff last night. I'm not totally bought in that he's playing at the highest level that he could play, but he was showing effort and he was showing his smarts and a lot of the stuff that we like so far from the rookie from South Carolina. He had 17 minutes, 9 points. So they tempered his minutes even in a game where he could have played a lot, easing him back into the lineup due to being out so much lately. 9 points on 3 of 5 shooting, 3 of 5 at the free throw line. Got to concentrate better there. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers, a steal, and the 5 blocks. It was a block party for Colin. And specifically, he was stopping people at the rim, and it was nasty. Normally, people like Scott Foster and Ray Acosta would call a foul on a rookie like that if they're getting so many blocks. And, they did this to Koloko when he was a rookie year on the Raptors. Koloko would actually get like 4 or 5 blocks, but they didn't like him getting so many stats. So they tempered him by calling fouls on actual clean blocks all the time. And, they didn't do that to Colin last night, which was fun. I'm glad they didn't because I like the amount. And when I saw that he had 5 blocks at the end of the game, I'm like, whoa, that's some Manute bullshit right there, getting 5 blocks in an NBA game. So that's really why I gave Colin the star, is those 5 blocks and the interior defense. And then, there's a lot of really high-level stuff with passing around Colin, whether it's passed to him or he's passing to somebody else. The one thing, though, I can tell in the game last night, his hand is still not right. Because the thing is, he's such a good hands. He soaks the ball up like a sponge soaks up water. And when he can't hold the ball and like he's not just grabbing it and dominating, grabbing it, that means his thumb's still not exactly right. But he could play. And he looked pretty good out there. He looked pretty good. And I think Darko did a smart job not overplaying him last night. 5 blocks. Wow, Colin. He was a +9 in the game yesterday. My 7th star of the game, it did not get the chain either. And that's Grady Dick. Grady has been building up in the last 2 weeks, better and better performances. He had a little bit of a dud in one of the games, but for most part, he's been playing positive basketball that's valuable and worthwhile to the Raptors and not just like dead minutes. A lot of the time earlier this year, Grady was absolute dud, not really contributing a whole lot to the Raptors in different ways since his 3-point shot wasn't making it. And it's like there wasn't anything else he was doing to help. In fact, he was more like a liability on defense. Well, Grady's getting after it. And in fact, Grady does look stronger all of a sudden again. Like he leveled up even more with his strength. And I love one of the biggest things I love about what Grady's doing right now is his rebounding. Grady is aggressively getting in there and he's going in with 2 hands and grabbing that ball and bringing it down. And I noticed that, Grady, and I appreciate that so much. He's a smart player. There's a lot of things he can do off ball where he doesn't have the ball that really helps the team. I want the Raptors to put a more focus on him. Sure, in some ways you don't totally trust him to make shots because he's been so bad with 3-point shooting this year. But I feel like this is about the time where he's going to come around And we're seeing signs of it because his shot has been falling a little bit more recently than it has most of the season. So yeah, Grady Dick, 28 minutes. You love seeing him get in because the guys are missing. Of course, Brandon Ingram's the biggest part of the reason why Grady Dick has not played as much this year as last year, and rightfully so, because Brandon Ingram is Brandon Ingram. But when Brandon's not there, Grady gets his chance to next man up and show a little bit more and more time what he can do to help the Raptors. And some of the stuff that he did last night was reminded me of when he started for us the year before. So 28 minutes for young Grady, 13 points on 6 of 12 shooting. He shot 50%, 1 of 5 from 3. He didn't make most of his threes. This is still an area, but we did see one go in finally, and it felt good. So this is the thing. We get just a little bit of good stuff going for Grady. Who knows what could happen before the playoffs start, and we can revitalize him as a true three-point shooting weapon. So that's how streak shooters are. They're going to be cold, but they can heat up real fast. So if we can cultivate Grady to spring up again, yeah, that maybe sounded wrong for him and his name. Maybe we can get him going before the playoffs start in this last stretch of the season, because I feel like there's a good chance of this. There's signs being shown. 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 0 turnovers for Grady. There's another guy who got really good assists on the down low, and I loved it. I loved some of the stuff he was doing and how he's finding people. Grady, how you played last night is how you should be playing, except make the threes too, because you can be playing in the rotation again. You just have to do a couple things well, and 3-point shooting is number one. Yeah, 1 steal and 1 block for Dick, -3. He still wasn't the guy who got the chain. So who the hell got the chain, Lex? Well, a guy who got his career high in assists in any level in his whole entire life. That includes high school. That includes Houston with Kelvin Sampson. That includes any point in his NBA career, or even the little bit that he played on 905. Jamal Shed. Jamal Shed got 15 assists last night. He's an honorable mention in my stars. I don't technically give him a star, but he did get the chain. And, 29 minutes for Shed, 7 points. He's still not shooting that well. 2 of 6 from the field, but he hit that crazy 3 finally to break his dry spell of missing all his threes. In fact, let's go look at Kurthika on Blue Skies. She has this stat, Kurthika of TSN. She's saying Jamal Shed missed 13 consecutive threes before he made a 3 from 36 feet. That's the longest made shot of his career and the longest by a Raptor since 2021. So he just made the furthest shot away from the basket in the last 5 years in the Raptors franchise to break out of his slump. I joked after he made it, it's like, well, that's the problem. He's shooting from too close. Oh, he needs to just shoot from Steph Curry range more often, and he'll probably make them more. That's what's going on there. It's kind of funny. But yeah, Shed was the point guard in the absence of Emmanuel Quickley. And, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 15 assists, 2 turnovers, plus 29. So, yeah. Oh, wait. He had the highest plus minus. Jacoby was second. I just realized that just now. So, yeah, those are my stars of the game and an honorable mention. 7 stars of the game, along with Shed as an honorable mention. So we had 8 guys that, to me, played exceptionally well last night. That's a team contribution. 4 guys with 20 points, a guy with a double-double, a guy with 15 assists. Yeah, it's fantastic. Let's go over the other guys who played, who did not get a star. Trace Jackson Davis was a little bit of a mess. Once again, we see TJD get in the game, and we see part of the reason why he is where he is in the hierarchy of the rotation. And, he's just not trusted yet by Darko. And some people say, well, what are we doing with him? Well, once again, we have a long-term plan. And even I was saying this, I think, yesterday on the show, that, if Mamu does move on this summer, like I said, his minutes will have to be filled by somebody. And it could very well be Jackson Davis that is filling that role of Sandro Mamu if his price is too high this summer for Bobby Webster to match. A shitty team wanting to play him, paying him a lot of money to come there, that Bobby Webster may be like, yeah, I'm sorry, Sandro. This is just too much. We appreciate the time we had with you. And then boom, he's promoting Trace Jackson Davis to the backup like power forward center minutes for next year. But he's a project, and he looked like a project last night. Just a little disconnected with his teammates. And man, is he bad at the free throw line. He is bad at the free throw line. His free throws are like, whoop, like they're crazy. Like he shoots free throws like Rudy Gobert, horrible. And the thing about it also is like that pissed me off was they had a promotion at the Delta Center last night for all the grannies and the kids and the people in Utah to win Chick-fil-A, which in some ways is a troublesome company in itself. And well, missed 2 free throws in the fourth quarter, the opposing team, you give the whole crowd free Chick-fil-A. And well, Trace Jackson Davis got them double order of free Chick-fil-A because he went to the line twice and he missed all 4 of his free throws. And the crowd loved him for that. They were booing people like Battle and other people who missed the first free throw and then made the second one because they really wanted their Chick-fil-A. Eat more cows. Or eat more chicken is what the cow said, right? The Chick-fil-A. Either way, Trace was a benevolent man feeding the hungry and giving Chick-fil-A to the Jazz crowd last night. 1 rebound, 1 turnover, 1 block, a minus 15. Yeah, just he's really good on G League. We'll just say that. He's a work in progress. We'll see what happens with him over time. Jonathan Mobo came in for 9 minutes of time. He got 4 points. He got 2 of 2 from the field. 4 rebounds and 1 steal, a minus 8. Whenever we play the Jazz, there's a little bit of a underlying matchup that's kind of a feud, and that's Jonathan Mobo and Kyle Filipowski. Of course, in that draft, we had the first pick in the second round on the historic second day of the NBA draft that's never happened in the NBA's history. Like the NFL does multiple days of drafting, the NBA had never done that until the year Jonathan got drafted. And he is historically the first person to ever get drafted on the second day of an NBA draft. This is history. Nobody talks about this, but it's true. Jonathan Mobo is the first person to ever be drafted on the second day of an NBA draft. And Kyle Filipowski was drafted immediately after him, the next pick. And normally, this is what happens with players that get passed over. They hate the other teams that didn't pick them, and they come in for revenge. And this has happened. We've had energy from Kyle Filipowski in the past where he wanted to get back at the Raptors for not picking him and picking Jonathan just before him. So there's a little bit of a weird versus with those two guys from their draft class and their proximity and where they got picked. And I've seen Kyle kind of like have energy towards Jonathan that's like that. Well, Jonathan outplayed Kyle yesterday because Kyle played 30 minutes and Jonathan only played 9. And Filipowski had 2 for 4 shooting. He was off. He was really off. And he was complaining the refs too, like a whiny bitch. 1 for 6 from 3, 6 points and 8 rebounds for Filipowski. He was just not effective offensively. I couldn't help but think about that whole dynamic while they were out there on the court at the same time. And I wonder if Mobo gets those feelings of kind of from Kyle on the court when like this guy really doesn't like me for some reason or something like that. Either way, the Raptors won, and Jonathan Mobo was on the right side of winning. That's right. All right, let's go over the Raptors debut of Markelle Fultz. Now, I'll admit, I didn't think they were going to do this, but when I think about it, this probably was part of the deal to get him to even come to 905. Is like they're talking to Markelle and his agent on the phone, and they're saying this. It's like, hey, yeah, we would like to bring you up to 905 and help Drew Jones and the Raptors 905. And you know what? We may even give you a 10-day just to kind of give you a chance on the Raptors too. It's like, all right, I'm coming. If you give me a pathway to get the NBA again, I'll do it. That may have been part of the guaranteed deal. Because I'm going to say this, Markelle Fultz in the 6 games he's played for Raptors 905 has not warranted this 10-day to me personally. But I think that it's part of the deal, the honoring of the deal, that they give the 10-day to Markelle. Now, some people are saying, well, with the plantar fasciitis with IQ, this could mean that, yeah, we need him to stick around. And it could very well be that we continue to give 10 days to Markelle while the possibility of Emmanuel may be out. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I feel like his years in the league make him a veteran know-how. So he's not like the normal person you're bringing in as far as they have a learning curve to the league and kind of how the league works. And that's helpful. But I still don't think this guy is, it's weird. It's a weird thing because he can't shoot. He cannot shoot. And, you saw that shot he took in the lane last night that was right near the free throw line and just how flat it was. He had no arc and he pushed the ball forward and it just looked ugly. And I was like, after that shot on the Discord, I say, see, Fiercey, Markel Fultz, see how he shoots? And she's like, oh my God, dead. Look at how bad that shot was. So it's tough. Markel, 16 minutes, 2 points on 1 of 5 shooting, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, a minus 15. Yeah, he had one of the worst plus minuses on the team. And, in some ways, it's not a bad first game for playing with a new team that you've never played with. But still, at the same time, I don't know. He's an enigma to me. I don't get it. I don't understand why everybody thinks he's so fucking great. To me, he seems like he's like a bust. He seemed like he should have never been a number 1 pick and that the Sixers are idiots. And I just don't get it. I think this may be a disconnect between like the NBA fans that I'm not like with as far as their offense first, 3-point shooting, superstars, some of the people that overvalue Paul George, people that are like that just in some ways, oh, he's a number 1 pick. He's done these highlights. He's had these cool highlights. I just don't get it. Like, he's been in the league a long time. I've seen him play. I've never thought he was that impressive. I've never thought he was all that or anything. So there's a true disconnect between this old head, this old school NBA historical mind, and the young fans and nephews that just love him and think he's just fucking crazy good. I don't get it. I don't get it. And like, there's nothing that special about him. If he's a great stealer, okay, he got 2 steals. That's pretty good. If he's a great passer, okay. I don't think he's a better passer than Jamal Shed. And maybe I don't know with IQ. I don't know if he's a better passer than IQ or Scotty. We saw Scotty do an amazing no-look pass to RJ underneath the basket for an easy layup like it was nothing. I just don't get it. Maybe I need more information. I'm not against him being around. If Bobby says this is what it needs to be, and we could try him out, and especially if he's helpful, if IQ's on the shelf for a second already, all of a sudden, I'll give him a chance. I'd like him to succeed. I'd like him to contribute to helping the Raptors win games, and that's all I can ask. But I don't see it, guys. It's so weird. It's just one of the weirdest things. It's like, do I have a blind spot here? I have to keep asking myself, why the fuck does everybody think he's hot shit? And I'm like, do I have a blind spot here? What is going on here? I don't see anything that's that impressive in any kind of way. Any kind of way. If there's a veteran steadiness and a know-how that comes out in this 10-day contract and it warrants a second 10-day contract, I could see it also being like he plays this 10-day contract, he's ho-hum, and Bobby's like, thank you. We fulfilled our obligation with you, and we're going to try somebody else on the 10-day next. But, because we are in a playoff mode, instead of like trying players out for the next year because we're out of the playoffs kind of thing like the last 2 years, it could very well be that utilizing the extra roster spot and 10-day contracts and stuff is like, well, Markel Fultz, veteran, and he could be possibly helpful in the playoffs. I don't know. I'm open to it. I didn't think this was smart, but I can be wrong. I know this, Fred. I know I can be wrong, Fred, because I was wrong when I scouted you when you came in the league, Fred VanVleet. So we'll just have to see. Yeah, Markel's an enigma to me. I don't get it. I just don't fucking get it, man. What is the deal with him? Why do they like him so much? Let's give some props to the young knucklehead, Ace Bailey. What a journey he's had over his year with his agent screwing him up and making him drop in the draft. Like, he could have gone higher in the draft, but he went to Utah, and he didn't want to go to Utah, and it was all a mess and stuff. He's a weird kid. He's a weird kid. I can see the potential in him. In fact, I can see the potential in Ace Bailey a little bit better than Cooper Flagg, honestly. I'm not lying, seriously, because that man's wingspan and his athleticism and his body, I shouldn't say man because he's still a little boy, is interesting. And he does have some real talent, and he's a very good shooter. I think that's the thing that opened my eyes last night with Ace Bailey the most was his three-point shooting was really good last night. 35 minutes for the rookie, 37 points on the other side. The leading scorer for the Jazz, 11 of 21 from the field, including 7 of 10 from three, 8 of 8 at the free throw line, too. That's the sign of a good, fundamental young man that can get up there and go 8 for 8 at the free throw line, not a lack of concentration, taking care of it. They got a good one in him. Maybe my first impression of Ace Bailey was kind of like, yeah, this kid's an idiot with his agent acting like this, but maybe it was just his agent was an idiot. And this kid, even if he was reluctant to come to Utah and report, well, I think he's taken to it. And in some ways, he's having fun with it. Man, you're in the NBA. You, in some ways, being on the Jazz, you get your own team, bro. Because in some ways, they could clear that whole team out, and you'll be the franchise player for that team, Ace Bailey. But yeah, he's interesting. I like him. In some ways, he's fun to watch. But man, I he's an interesting player, man. Bryce Sensabaugh was annoying too off the bench last night. He's a very strong player, and he was doing some interesting things out there. Although he did have 6 turnovers. So yeah, good job, Raptors. 143 to 127, beating down the Utah Jazz. We'll do the team stats in just a little bit. Yeah, it's fantastic, man. Trevor's saying the Raptors' 49 assists is the most any team in the NBA has gotten this year, and it's the most in our franchise history. Yes. Yes, this is awesome. It's actually the 12th most assists in any NBA game ever in the history of the NBA, guys. Yeah. We got the 12th most assists in any NBA game ever in the history of the NBA for the whole 70 years or whatever. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? The 12th most. It goes on that list. That's pretty fantastic, guys. Seriously, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Nobody else around the league will think that. And some people will sewer it and say, oh, you were playing the Jazz. Anybody can do that against the Jazz. But no, that's the 12th most assists ever in the NBA. You see, this is the thing. People won't toot our horn around the world, whether it's NBA media, Canada sports media. You know, that's why we need to do this here. Yeah, we got the 12th most assists as a team in the history of the NBA. We'll say it again. Be proud of that. Seriously, I don't give a shit if it's the Utah Jazz. It's still the NBA, guys. Come on now. That's right. Jimmy Pope is here, the Pope of Positivity. Good morning to you, sir. Keeping it positive for the most part, most of the time. Jacoby Walter is going to be really important for this team. He's definitely a keeper. And the other thing I love about Jacoby is I think he really loves playing for the Raptors. He's a real one for us, man. Like he's so even keeled. Like he's posting these photo montages on Instagram where he mashes up his work ethic, his games, and then he'll have like a picture from him when he was a kid with his sister or something, and they're like so cute. And then the caption will say, "Never too up, never too down." You gotta love that, man, because it is true. It's like sometimes you'll meet a baby, like a little baby that's just born, like a couple years old, and you look at that baby and it's like, man, that baby has an old soul. You're like, what? Wait, what'd you say about my baby? That baby, I can just tell. I don't know why, but that baby has an old soul. It's a baby. How can you tell that? It's not even talking. I just can tell. Jacoby was one of those babies. He just has an old soul. In some ways, he honors the past and understands it. And that's part of the reason why he's so good. It's because he's done his research. He's done his history. And he's understood what people before him have done to be successful. And he's doing it himself. That's the key to being the best NBA player you can be, is know your history. Know what was successful for people that came before you and try and mimic it in your own personal way. Too many players don't give a shit about the history of the NBA. They're at a detriment because they don't know the players and the movements of the past, and they are not utilizing them because there's something that has been proven and tested is a much better thing to employ in your body than just, I know what I'm doing. I'm an arrogant young man who's just going to go out there and do whatever because I'm me. Fucker, you study the past like Jacoby Walter, and you can be like him. That's the thing. And I love it. Scotty's got a lot of this too, because we know from Twitch that when Scott was young, he watched a lot of VHS tapes of old NBA, like from the 80s. Scotty was watching Bird and Magic and Michael Jordan as a little kid. So in some ways, that has informed Scotty on how to be more fundamentally sound and even be that old school jukebox sometimes with his body, where he's like hitting a little left-handed hook off the bank like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook. That's part of it right there. If like you're a young player and you don't go look at the old NBA, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. That's just the damn truth. You should study the past because the past will give you answers to what you should be doing now. Jacoby gets this, and he probably was one of those babies where you say, "Oh, look at that baby over there. That baby's got an old soul. I can just tell. It's looking at me like that." You guys know those babies I'm talking about, right? Those old soul babies. That's right. That's right. Fiercely saying this. Good morning, fam, and happy Tuesday. 4 players with 20 plus points. That was a feel good game. It's a connective game. In fact, let's do the team stats on that. It's a connective game because to get 49 assists, you have to have a couple things going right. You have to have the willingness to want to pass the ball to everybody. And then the other thing is the people have to make the shots. There's a lot of missed assists just because the guy didn't make the shot, right? So the Raptors shot 61% from the field last night. Holy Batman. Holy shooting, scorching, sizzling. Heat check for the whole team. Come on now. And that will help you get the 12th most assists in NBA history. 61% shooting will, yeah. The Jazz only shot 47%. From 3, we shot 54%. In fact, I wish we could bottle this up and keep this for some of the other games we play. 23s made. They only made 13. So we actually beat a team in three-point shooting last night. That is not normal. We do not usually get more three-pointers made than the teams we play, especially this season. Free throws. This season, I should say. Free throws, we shot horrible at the free throw line, 54% at the free throw line, 15 to 28. And this is where the evidence of a little bit of ref manipulation was right here. And some Raptor freaks were calling it out in the Discord during the game last night. Look at this bullshit. Scott Foster and John Butler and Ray Acosta have given the Utah Jazz 43 free throw attempts last night. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'll be like Nick Nurse yelling at the refs last night saying, they're not perfect. They're not perfect. Talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder and how the referees wouldn't call no fouls on the Thunder. Meanwhile, they're calling them like crazy on the Sixers. And Nick Nurse is yelling at the refs saying, they're not perfect. They're not perfect down there. We love Nick Nurse. But yeah, they're not perfect either. And like we're getting fouled too. And why the hell do they get 15 more foul attempts than we do? Why? Because this, in some ways, is the foundational groundwork for a ref manipulation, for a ref hit job. If the settings come true, that you got to give them a lob, you got to give them a setup. And that's basically like, all right, we're going to manufacture extra points for the Jazz by putting them on the line. And that'll help them keep up with the Raptors, who are obviously kicking their ass because they can't score on them because their defense is too good. So we're going to call fouls on the Raptors. It'll get them in foul trouble somewhat. And also it'll give you guys chances to get easy points at the free throw line. And that's really the first foundational layer of a ref hit job, is to overgive free throws to one side and not give the other side as many, to try and encourage them to be over them in the margin, right? Well, if you're so good, you shoot so good, you dominate the team, Scott Foster can't do the extra layers of the ref manipulation, the hit job, because it's just not realistic or possible. You can't make this game a win for the Jazz when the Jazz are not trying to win, obviously, and it's not going to happen because the Raptors are too much better than them. But I'm telling you, if Scott Foster had the chances to do it, he would have done it. He would have done it. And that challenge call that I mentioned earlier that Darko had to call on the out-of-bounds play on Jonathan Moba, which was actually out on Kyle Filipowski, is evidence of what I'm talking about. That could have been a swing right there. If Darko had not called that challenge, they would have given an extra possession to the Jazz that they didn't deserve because it was the wrong call. And who knows? They could have gone down and gotten a 3 on the next play, cut the lead down to 9, and then all of a sudden it's a single-digit game with a minute or so to go, and that's actually a playable try and win the game kind of thing. But, Darko called him on his shit, and he said, no, challenge, and Scott had to go look at it, and he saw it. We saw interesting things with Scott Foster last night. Before the game, I saw Darko talking to him during the pregame for a very long time. It seemed like Darko was already politicking with Scott Foster before the game started. He spent a long time just talking to him about how he see things and how he'd like things to be. And that's what you do with refs. In some ways, you have to politic with them. You have to give them your observations, your perspective, so that hopefully it goes in their head and maybe they'll call things in your favor in some ways. And well, Darko did early work with Scott Foster. I saw it in the background in the pregame. The other thing with Scott Foster that was interesting was him and Scotty's relationship. I think that since the Denver game where Scott Foster threw Scott out for saying he cheats, I think that they've had a little meeting and they've talked to each other. I think that possibly Scott Foster said to Scotty, "Don't ever allege that I am a cheater ever again. Don't ever do that." And Scotty's like, "I know I was wrong. I probably shouldn't have said that. I wasn't totally understanding your history and the allegations against you. And in some ways, I apologize. I'll never do it again." "Okay, Scotty, maybe we can be friends then. We can be friends." And I saw at one point in the game, Scotty lined up at the free throw line, and Scott Foster's over behind the free throw shooter, over the shoulder of the guy shooting the free throws for the Jazz. And Scotty's basically talking straight at Scott Foster and argue and telling him basically, "This is what I did. I didn't do this." And he's totally politicking with Scott Foster in the middle of the game. So I do feel like there's a little bit more of a relationship between Foster and Barnes and an understanding between the namesakes that maybe like, "Look, I'm trying to work with you. Will you work with me?" And, Scott Foster's not dumb. He's like, this is a budding superstar, all-star in this league. And in some ways, he's going to do manipulative things in some ways because we're Canada, but also at the same time, it's the NBA product. And this dude is a bona fide star. So, having a relationship with Scott Foster, Scotty Barnes, is smart. And if you have a dialogue with him where you can have open communication with him and he's not teeing you up, that's good. That's a good thing right there. That's a very good thing. Rebounds. The Raptors did get out rebounded 39-35, but that's partly because I don't know why that happened. That's weird. We shouldn't have had more rebounds. Assist to turnover ratio should be fantastic considering we got the most assists in the NBA this season. 49 assists to 17 turnovers. What is that? That's like a 3-to-1. That's like a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, right? About that. The Jazz were 25-18 on the assist to turnover ratio. We had fantastic steals, 12, 10 blocks, really getting those numbers with Sandro getting 5 steals and Colin getting 5 blocks, really getting those numbers up. Fast break points were even. And the points in the paint were dominant for the Raptors. We dominated the Jazz in the paint, 60 points in the paint. And that's something that was said about Thurl Bailey, the color commentator for the Jazz, the longtime player from a long time ago that played with Malone Stockton. He said the Raptors have been bullying us tonight with their size down low. And we didn't even have Yak. So that's pretty cool right there. Yeah, there's your check on the team stats real quick. And a little bit about Scott Foster and Scotty there. It was good stuff, man. I love Scotty talking directly to him and Scott Foster talking directly to him from across the court. It's really, really good stuff. Really good stuff. Isaac's got, that looks like RJ Barrett on blast. I love it. Jimmy's saying, "I'm just happy we handle business." Yeah. And now, we've got some good feelings and we're going to go to LA next. And we're going to play the Clippers tomorrow. And honestly, we could win this game against the Clippers. The Clippers are in a weird place with some injuries and just kind of weirdness. They're a play-in team. They're not one of the playoff teams in the West. So they're a little susceptible in some ways. So hopefully we can have a really good outcome and kick their ass this time. They did beat us earlier this season, and we need to even out the season series with them. I don't like getting swept by teams like Denver and other teams that have beaten us both games. Houston, another one. I'd much rather split a series like we did with Oklahoma City. And let's do that with the Clippers. We got swept by the Lakers too this year. I hate that. I hate that kind of shit. I really do. Let's see. Fiercely saying this. Despite a respectable contribution yesterday, I believe Grady, hang on, it jumped. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. I believe Grady is extremely stressed, sending him positive vibes for his mental health and really hope his off-season work will help. I think he was more stressed earlier, like maybe a month ago, than right now. I mean, this is what, when you're sitting on the bench getting DMPs, You don't know when your number is going to be called exactly. It can be frustrating. And then when you do get called in, it's like for 2 minutes at the end of a garbage time at the end of the game. And it's like, oh, well, this isn't going to get me back in some ways. So it's important that he got good run and guys missed the game last night. All right, let's see what this is. Good morning, caller. You're on the Raptor Freak call-in show.
Vinay, from Action Collections and Receivables Management regarding an important business matter. This is not a sales call. If you are Vinay, please press 1 now or return our call today if you are not.
What do I press to tell you I'm not? Hang on. Let's see what happens here. This is fine. Oh, they hung up on me. They don't want none of the smoke. All right, but I feel good. I feel like Grady got a lot of confidence from last night. Because listen, it's not just him not making his shot. It's all the other stuff he can do on the court to help us, whether it's assists, whether it's rebounds, whether it's getting in passing lanes and just disrupting the other team. There's a lot of different things he can do to help us. It's just that his main badass weapon is his three-point shooting. And in some ways, it's like this is a weird way to come around and be a more complete player. Just have your main weapon is shitty right now, so you have to do everything else to look good. But I think he was more stressed a couple of weeks ago and months and when he was really not playing. But I think it's like now that it's next man up and there's opportunity like last night, well, that can get his confidence up real fast. Smooth saying this, still look really sloppy in garbage time against a tanking team. Yeah, we don't want to Eeyore this. And who cares? Who cares? We won the game. Once again, I just want the W's. And if you want perfection for all 48 minutes, you're just not going to get it all the time. And I mean, yeah, you could say that. And it's like they ate up our lead. We had an amazing 30-point lead, and they made only a 12-point victory, right? So I get that. But also, in some ways, you got to say this. It's not – this is the thing. We played our regular not totally our starters. We played our best players. We got rid of them and played the end of the bench. They didn't really do that. They played kind of their whole team the whole time. And it wasn't like they brought in garbage time players. They played the same young players they've been playing the whole game at garbage time. So that's a little bit part of the factor right there. But either way, it doesn't matter. In some ways, the Raptors, once they had the win, because honestly, Monique was texting me at the beginning of the fourth quarter saying we won already. And normally I'm like, yeah, don't do that because you could jinx us. But in this game against the Jazz and their capabilities, I was like, yeah, we're up by 30 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. We're going to win. So I wasn't like, yeah, I knew we were going to win, but they did eat up the lead. But it wasn't really to the point where we were really that stressed. Like, were we? And yeah, you can say that. You can nitpick about this, Reggie. But that's like looking at the black spot on a big, huge, bright sun. And in some ways, it's like garbage time doesn't really matter anyway. It's really a time for guys to get experience, run around, and usually the game's out of hand during garbage time. So it doesn't really matter whether they lose or win those minutes. Some ways it's just more about getting more time out there for Trace and Grady and Jonathan, people like that. Let's see. Medved Ted's back in the chat. Good to see Medved Ted, one of the regulars on the Raptors 905 and a great Raptor freak. Jacoby is turning into a formidable 3-and-D wing. His defense is on point, too. Colin Murray-Boyles returns with 5 blocks. That's right. Big strength, big toughness. Yeah, I love all this. Jacoby really is a two-sided player with both sides of the court being top-notch. And like I said before, he's really coming around with his offense faster than even Scotty or OG in their paths. They took like a couple years to really kind of start doing more offensive stuff like they do now. Like Anunoby, is that where he is? Think about his early years on the Raptors. He was not an offensive player in any kind of way. And then Scotty really didn't – he was doing all kinds of all-around stuff, but not really shooting and doing excellent things on offense yet. Jacoby's already doing it. And it's his second year. And, there's a really bright future for him in the Red Raptors jersey. And he's all about it, man. He's a real one. We need to lock him down. And I don't know what position he'll be in the long term. He could very well be a six-man and not totally a true starter. But he's definitely a plug-in-and-play starter when somebody's missing. Yeah. I don't know if I want him to be a regular starter in the future. I think that he's in a good spot where he is with his role and that he can be a fantastic six man for a lot of his career and still get huge stats and still look really good. So we'll have to see. There's no reason to think maybe he could be the starter. Who knows? He obviously could probably. Reggie's saying this: I can't take anything out of beating a really bad team, Utah team, man. I looked the game. I looked the game against the Clippers is how I feel about this road trip. Yeah, well, all right, fine. We have misery and pain and sadness from things like the Phoenix game. I want to enjoy things when we win. I'm not going to do this, Reggie. Don't downplay our win just because it's the Jazz. Let's enjoy this. Seriously. I was saying to Adriana yesterday, it's like if we lose to the Jazz tonight, my stream tomorrow is going to suck. It's going to be miserable. So let us have our party, Reggie, and stop being Debbie Downer party pooper. We beat the Jazz 2 games yesterday, and I'll go over that 905 game too. So it's a double W day. So get with it, Smooth Brown Man. Seriously, what is this, bro? Let us have our fun when we can. Seriously. It's this kind of mentality that hurts all of our accomplishments. It's like, well, we did this, but Kevin Durant was out. Shit like that. Don't give me any disclaimers or asterisks. Just fucking let me have the win. That's what I'm saying right here. All right, let's see. Smooth saying this. Actually, there is a positive. They were able to rest BI, JP, and IQ. Yeah. Well, yeah, there were lots of positives. You think the positive just those guys sat out? No. There's a positive in Markelle Fultz. There's a positive in Grady Dick. There's a positive in Jamal Shed. There's a positive in Colin coming back. There's tons of positives. It's just you got to train your eye to see the light instead of the negative. That's what I'm saying. Come on now. Jimmy's saying this. Yeah, this is a team we should beat no matter what. Another dub to help us in the standings. Look, this league is so hard at this point. The teams that are like Utah last night are rare at this point. There's not as many teams that are so shit. And really, everybody's more competitive overall. So when we get these games, just like in a fantasy league where you got to play a team that's not active and you get a bye that week, we got to go ahead and take these victories while we can. So come on, y'all. We're supposed to talk up what we did instead of talk it down. And I'll say 49 assists and the most assists by any NBA team this season. Instead of saying, oh, it was the Jazz. They suck. We shouldn't be so proud. This isn't the right action or mentality of a Raptor freak. Because honestly, that's more of the regular, Raptors Nation kind of like, well, we did this, but this is this. And I was like, don't do this. Let's just enjoy the accomplishment. Let's enjoy the W. In fact, let's enjoy that we have 40 wins in this season now. They count the same, right? The win in Oklahoma City counted the same as the win in Utah. So let's just slow your brakes on this kind of talk, y'all. Seriously, let's slow your brakes on this one. Kareem's saying this. Scotty just needs the ball in his hands more. I don't know how you go about it, but Darko needs to figure that shit out. Scott becomes too much of a spectator when BI and IQ on the court. He took over. Yeah. Listen, it's not even up to Darko. I'm sure Darko could direct him more. It's Scotty, man. I keep telling y'all this. We can't blame the coach for Scotty because Scotty does what he does because he does what he does. And it's just his mentality. He's just too giving. I sound like a broken record talking about this. If Scotty's ready and when he's ready, he'll become a dominant kind of Giannis kind of scorer guy. He'll do it. But it may be next year. It may be the year after that. It's on his own timeline. But the thing is, with being buzzer beaters yesterday and also some of the dominance of some of the ways he was doing those turnarounds and also some more of the dominance he's doing with coming back with anger and getting really high percentage shots because we need to score real bad. And also he's mad at the other team. These are all signs trending into the direction of what Kareem wants. So we just need to allow it to develop naturally. Last night could have been an opportunity for Scott with Brandon out to really put up a huge number on the Jazz and really make it known. But alas, that's not what he cares about. He's playing within the team. He's playing within his philosophies. And, well, someday maybe that bud will blossom where Scotty is what Kareem just described. We'll just have to see. It's on his own time. And in some ways, this is more healthy for the team than him forcing his offensive juggernautness to the detriment of the team concept. That's part of it right there. KT's also saying Smooth was right about Markelle coming up from the 905 yesterday. And to add syrup to that pancake, why not get Cam Thomas to fill the last roster spot? How much is his price? He's got to be minimum wage. I don't understand why y'all want everybody's garbage. I've never thought Cam Thomas was a good idea, and well, the Bucks didn't eventually either, did they? Because they waived him yesterday. Why do we want other teams' garbage, especially Milwaukee Bucks and where they are in the playoff standings? Seriously, I'm sick of this, guys. Y'all want garbage over and over again. Get Cam Thomas. I'm telling you right now, if he's gone the Nets, he can look real good because it's the Nets and they need somebody to score. He goes to the Bucks. He hangs out there for what, a month, and he gets waived. There's a red flag there. There's a red flag there. There's a reason. And it could be personality. It could be that they're like, yeah, you're not worth it. And we're, you know what, we're going in another direction. Either way, why are we trying to pick up the garbage at the neighbor's house off the curb and take it into our house? That's what I would say to that, KT. Yeah, and you know what? Smooth was right. Whatever. It don't matter about Markelle Fultz. As I said earlier, I still think it's a mistake. And in some ways, I think this was promised to him to get him to even come across the border to be around 905. It could very well be Bobby has him up for 10 days, sends him right back down to 905, and he's playing for them in the playoffs, and he's around the 905 team. I'd like to see that, actually, because to me, the 905 have a sure chance, a really good chance to win the G League championship. And I just think it sounds so poetic and awesome that if Markelle Fultz in his NBA professional career starts as a number one pick for the Philadelphia 76ers and a bust, and his last kind of big, huge achievement is he's an NBA G League champion with the Raptors 905, I think that would just be hilarious. And I think that would be awesome because then we could say we took a busted number one pick for the Philadelphia 76ers and turned him into a Raptors champion. That's pretty cool. So in some ways, I want him to have this 10-day, get his pay, get the fulfillment of Bobby's promise to him, because this is what this is, guys. He did not do anything on the 905 to warrant this 10-day contract. I'm just going to say that. This is an agreement. This is them saying, Markelle, you can come up here. We'll give you a chance on a 10-day with the Raptors, but you have to play on 905. Yeah, I'll do that. Any chance I can get in the league, I'll do it. And this is them coming through with their side of things saying, here's your 10-day contract. Come on in. I don't think he earned it. I would have put Tyreek Key on a 10-day contract before him. I would have put AJ Hogart on a 10-day contract before him. I would have put Jarkel Joyner on a 10-day contract before him. It's just that they made a deal verbally with him. And I honestly, like I said, maybe I'm shading him or I'm saying things about him that's not fair, but I just don't see it. I don't see it, guys. And that's why I was like, man, it'd be a waste of time if they give him a 10-day contract. I still kind of believe that. Just even though he's gotten it, doesn't mean anybody's right. It just, we'll see how he does. And if he's successful, I'll be overjoyed. I can't lose on this. Either he busts out and Lex is right, or he's successful and I'm happy because the Raptors got a successful player that's going to help us do things to win. So, this isn't a victory lap for anybody who said that he's going to get a 10-day contract and I said he wouldn't. I don't give a shit. I think that this was promised to him by Bobby as part of the deal, and they're just fulfilling their part of it. It's not on merit, guys. Let's just put it that way. There's nothing he did on that lower level that told me that he needs to be on the Raptors, guys. This is just because they promised him this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying right there. Yeah. Yeah. Jimmy's saying this. Honestly, I wonder why we don't run more two-mans with Scott and BI or IQ. They do this at times, and it looks so good. You're right. Like, I always love the two-man with Jakob and Scotty. That two-man stuff with those two guys that has been developed over the last few years has been so money in the lane because you have guys that pass it up over their heads, and they're really good and connecting each other. And it's like a pick and roll or a give and go or any of that kind of stuff that they do between Pirtle and Barnes is high level. And there's a little bit of that action between Barrett and Barnes, too. We saw the awesome connection between Barrett and Barnes again last night, where these guys just really play well together. They get pinpoint passes, and they have the same psychology. And there's a lot of stuff that they can do with nobody else is seeing, but the two of them are seeing together in conjunction. And, a lot of the hurry up offense of the Raptors last night is Scotty and RJ looking up the court and looking and getting that ball passed up the court really fast. And there was a lot of that last night where we were behind the defense and there were just layups and dunks because they didn't get back And Scotty's so good at passing up court, he's throwing the ball all the way down, and RJ's catching it like a receiver in the NFL and putting it right in. So I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, two-man game in a half-court offense with pick and rolls and give and goes. I love that kind of stuff. In some ways, our BI doesn't really play that way in the two-way game that well for certain reasons. But with Scotty and Jakob and RJ and Emmanuel, you can do a lot of that stuff with those guys in different combinations. And I would like to see more of that too. I really would, man. I really, 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 really would. Yeah, let's see. G's saying this. It took Kyle around 7 years to average more than 10 points. I can see Shed following his trajectory. Not saying they are or will be the exact player, but as far as scoring trajectory, 15 assists is fire. I like this idea. You know how this happens is the accumulation of basketball knowledge and experience on the court. You know, Kyle Lowry became who Kyle Lowry was by killing his ego and getting all his fierce asshole energy out in the court and way he plays. And just by learning the game and paying attention and making himself a more cerebral player as he got older. And that's really the story of his career arc and why he became so much better later in his career, so much later in his career, and became an all-star like in his 7th year, which is crazy. So, you know, I can see this with Shed. He's an intelligent enough player that if he has an intelligence arc of smarts and confidence in that, that he could have this uptick and be similar to this. I don't think it'll be the same level where he's getting all-stars down the road, but it could very well be he has a lot of improvement in a similar way like this. You know, KT saying this. Scotty was listening to Salt and Pepper all day yesterday. He was pushing it real good. The pace we play at when BI isn't on the floor is insane. I want to see more of it. I know it's Utah, but my eyes are not blind. Once again, stop downplaying this shit, y'all. The Utah Jazz could have beat us last night, and y'all would be saying the same damn shit in detriment to us. So seriously, let's stop doing this. Let's stop poo-pooing our own accomplishments like everybody else is. In some ways, y'all are trained to do this by Sportsnet, TSN, Bleacher Report, and ESPN. And I'm telling y'all to decondition your mind from the bullshit that looks down on the Raptors' accomplishments. The shit like Sarge, co-host of Unguarded, thinks in that kind of way. No, we need to tout our accomplishments and celebrate them and stop putting the caveat or the disclaimer or the asterisk about them. The Utah Jazz are a full-fledged NBA team. We can't help it if they're on their place where they are and what they're doing right now. I can remember very clearly going to a game against the Utah Jazz before we traded OG, and we lost to them around Christmas. I went with my family, and I told them that day, oh, we should beat the Jazz easy. They're not very good. And then they went and kicked our ass in front of my family. My niece and nephew, my brother, and my parents were there. And Kelly Olynyk was on the Jazz at that time, and Ochai Agbaji too. And it was just before we traded everybody that Christmas, right before we traded Siakam and OG. That team on paper we were supposed to beat, but they beat our ass just before Christmas. So don't sully or put down our win. I don't give a shit if that team has only won 3 out of their last 16 games. It's still an NBA game, and everybody gets to play the bad teams equally for the most part. And so we got to take our bad team games when we get them and have fun with them. It's still a win. It counts the same as all the other ones. And that's what I say right there. Yeah, Trevor's saying this. Teams will start planning for Jacoby now because of three-point shooting. I think you were right when you said this, Trevor. Trevor declared this last night during the game on the Discord server that teams are going to start scouting for Jacoby like they did Grady after his blow up at being a three-point shooter. And they'll be like, yeah, we can't let this guy do this anymore. And there may be extra attention coming towards young Walter in games to come. And just like with Grady and other players, when the defenses adjust to you and make you more of a focal point, that's a new layer of you having to get better and adjust to it. And I expect this too. I think that Trevor's exactly right. That he's going to be more prominent in opposing teams' game plans for defensing against the Raptors. They're going to have to pay attention to him. They're right. Mr. Quasimodo saying Colin Murray-Boyles blocks were straight power moves. Yeah. Yeah, I like this so much. There was one point in the game last night where Colin got a block, and if he had not got the block, Scotty was gonna come get the block. He was, like, right behind him. It's like Colin got there before and he blocked him, but it's like this dude was not making this shot because if Murray-Boyles wasn't there to get the block that he did, Scotty was the next guy coming to block the shit out of that shot too. And in some ways, those guys as a tandem, they're like the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk. They're big, burly, scary guys that are very powerful, and people are a little afraid of them near the paint. So yeah, Road Warrior Animal and Road Warrior Hawk, Scotty Barnes and Colin Murray-Boyles on the block party. That's right there, man. Yeah. Cream Thomas saying Colin's left hand meeting opponent's right hand is a science that nobody ever takes into account. It makes it 50% easier and 100% harder for the shooter. There's also an element of surprise. This is an interesting point by Kareem. You're saying that because he's a left-handed kind of like blocker, it lines up really nice with the fact that people are mostly right-handed shooters. Yeah, this is a good point. In some ways, this could make it, but I think it's just that he can block with either hand. I don't know if it's necessarily he's dominant on either one. It's probably ambidextrous, and whichever one makes sense for that the angle or where he's coming at towards the person. You know, the other thing about Colin that we haven't totally seen as much, and partly probably because of his left hand, is his steals. We know that he can get his hand in the cookie jar and steal the ball from people, kind of like Kennedy Chandler did to Markelle Fultz last night. That matchup was fun to me to have Kennedy Chandler, former Raptors 905, getting called up the Utah Jazz, and he's doing really well with them. In some ways, I'm very happy for Kennedy because he's fitting in really well with them. He's playing as a team player now. He didn't play as a team player on Raptors 905. But yeah, that matchup, Fultz versus Chandler, you saw Chandler, who's a very good stealer. He did it for 905 a lot too when he played for us. Get his hand in the cookie jar, just rob people and just take the ball right from his. He did it to Scotty at one point, where he stole the ball from Scott in his strong hands. Well, Colin can do this too, but right now his thumb's messed up, so it's a little dangerous for him to put his hand in the cookie jar and possibly aggravate his hand. So he may not be as aggressive right now on the steals, partly because of his thumb injury. But he is way more. He's doing stuff on blocks, that's for sure. He's doing stuff on blocks, that's for sure. Bryce is saying, "Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freak family." Good morning to you, Bryce Lawson, a Raptor Freak, a young Raptor Freak, holding it down in the state of Kentucky, the land of the Wildcats and Emmanuel Quickley's alma mater. Good morning, Bryce. Good morning to you. We do not need Cam Thomas. See, he's very emphatic about this. We do not need Cam Thomas. Dude was asking for $100 million and has been waived twice since then. Something's up with him, and I want no part of it. I know. Read the room. Once again, do we go 2 houses down the street and say, that garbage can, that's garbage smells good over there. Let's go bring it home. We'll put it in the kitchen and we'll put it on the dinner table and we'll eat it. That's gross. I don't want to eat somebody's table scraps. No, we don't. And Bryce is on it. That's right. Clay Allen's back in the house. Good to see you again, Clay. Thank you for the subscription this week. Shoulder injuries destroyed Markelle. It's something he may never recover from. That's sad. I hate that. I mean, I once again, because he was a Sixer, I slighted him most of his career. Wow, of course. We're Raptors fans. They have big dummy Joel Embiid. Everything the Sixers does is a failure. Everything. And in some ways, Markelle Fultz is part of that. And, well, I've just gotten so used to it. I do remember him playing very well for Orlando in recent years. And then I wonder, well, didn't he stick there? No, he's just out there. And, well, we got him right now. So in some ways, it really is the Raptors are his last chance in the NBA right now. And in some ways, you got to root for him, kind of like Rudy or Rocky Balboa. But also at the same time, I don't have anything invested in him, whether he does or not. Some people do, apparently. Some people in China and other places that really like him a lot. I just never had an affinity for him. So I have no loyalty to him. And as far as I'd have loyalty to him, if he makes the Raptors win, and he does successful things, and he adds to good things for us, then I'll have loyalty to him. But as of right now, he's still got to prove himself to me. So this is kind of where I'm at with it. But this is good information, Clay. Thank you for letting me know that his shoulder injuries are what have destroyed his jump shot, because his jump shot's ugly. UGLY. Yeah. Jimmy's saying he was very good in college. Philly ruined that man. So he was very, very good in college. That's obviously if he was the number one pick. Then once again, this is a guy who does not watch NCAA basketball. So your college legends don't mean jack shit to me. I'm on the big dance, the NBA. That's my world. That's what I watch. And well, you can be a great college player and you're not a good NBA player. That happens all the time. That happens all the time. That's for sure. That's interesting. Bryce is saying, I'm actually a fan of Markel. He was the number one pick for a reason. Injuries just got in the way. It's really cool seeing him in our uniform. Well, he goes down in the history books as a Raptor now. So he's on the birthday list now. So we'll be celebrating Markel Fultz's birthday for the rest of his life, or as long as I'm doing this channel. Yeah, when his birthday comes around, we'll mention him on the birthdays for the day. Should we do the birthdays right now? Why not? Let's say happy birthday to TJ Ford. TJ Ford was a fantastic guy who had injuries also in his career with his neck. And he actually had a very scary injury on the Raptors when he played for us. And well, we were so happy that he was able to come back from that. It was really scary. There's an interview with TJ, and actually it's in the We the Raptors book by Eric Smith, where he talks about being so scared that he may never play again after the injury with the Raptors when he hit his spinal cord. And this is the thing. TJ had this issue with his spinal cord a few times in his career before that. So really, really scary stuff with TJ Ford. He's a survivor. He's one of the fastest players of his era in the NBA. And he was a fun Raptor. I think that everybody who thinks about TJ Ford in a Raptors jersey has fond memories of the way he played for us. And he had a real heart for us. And he's really, really talked us up. Like he said, I feel like I, in some ways, had my best years in the NBA in Toronto. And that I really appreciate them giving me the chance to try and come back and do what I did. And the years there are not ever forgotten. I mean, TJ played for us for 2 seasons from 2006 to 2008, and he had 126 games played for us. And he started most of those games. He averaged 12 points a game, along with about 6.5 or 6 to 7 assists. So yeah, and he averaged 1 steal a game too. He was an 80% free throw shooter. Yeah, he even played in the playoffs for us 2 years, and he played 11 games in the playoffs for the Raptors. And he averaged a good number of points. He averaged like 15 points a game in the playoffs. So salute to TJ Ford. It's your birthday today, my guy. And today TJ is 43 years old. So happy 43rd birthday to Houston, Texas's TJ Ford. That's not the only Texans' birthday from the Raptors history today. It is CB4's birthday today, guys. Chris Bosh, Christopher Wesson Bosh, Hall of Famer, champion with the Miami Heat 2 times. Yes, it is Chris's birthday. Of course, he played the bulk of his career here in Toronto, but you wouldn't know it from the way he carries himself today. 7 years in the Raptors jersey. He played 509 games for us. 497 of them he started, and he averaged 20 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block for the Raptors, a franchise cornerstone of the Raptors franchise history. Chris Bosh, happy birthday to you. I hope that your health concerns that have happened recently have cleared up and that you're doing very well today, sir. In some ways, I wish we could heal the bond with you, but not to the extent where we put you in the rafters or anything like that. If you want to come and get a nice hello back up in Toronto, well, I'd say you're welcome to. Come on up and wave to the crowd and feel some shine from the Raptors crowd. But you don't want to. You're very happy just being a Miami Heat alumni and champion with them. And, you know, in some ways, your chapter with the Raptors is just not heralded or loved by yourself, which sucks. I hate that. Once again, I'll say also, you may be losing out financially in some ways because you've turned your back on Canada to an extent. I'm just saying, you know, if you really were all about God money and wanted more money, you know, you would have kept your ability to market yourself in Canada better, is what I'm saying. So happy birthday to Chris Bosh and TJ Ford, regardless. Yeah, it's their birthdays today. That's right. Let's see. Smooth saying the only positive Fultz brings to is the experience in the NBA. That's all. I'm going to agree with Reggie on this. I think so. I don't think he's an above average passer. I don't think he's like an amazing defender that gets a lot of steals or shut down. You know, he's obviously not a good shooter. So it's like, what is it? I don't get it. I think that Smooth's right. And like that, if you just want a steady, experienced guy who can be out there and kind of do vet stuff, yeah, you could probably get a little bit of that. Some of the things that they're saying he's so good at are basically he's a good strong arm guard to post in the post against a weaker guard and make offensive moves near the basket by using his strength and his vet savvy. But yeah, I mean, how much do you do that in the NBA right now? That's why I don't totally trust Elijah Martin's path in the NBA, is because his way of getting points inside is not totally feasible in the NBA. And I don't know if it is for Markel either. So yeah, let's go do the 905 stars of the game since they did play yesterday and they did win too. We got that double W. Let's go ahead and talk about them. My number one star is Tyreek Key. Tyreek Key came off the bench for the 905 yesterday and was their leading scorer. He was on fire, guys. He had 35 minutes, 23 points on 10 of 13 shooting. So that's fantastic. 1 of 2 from 3. He made his only free throw, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, and 1 block for Tyreek, a plus 20. He's my number one star of the game. My second star of the game in the 905 win is AJ Hoggart. They were kind of like a 1-2 punch off the bench, and both of them couldn't miss. AJ Hoggart, 28 minutes, 18 points, 7-11 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3. Yeah, AJ was hitting those three-pointers confidently and shooting them and busting up Salt Lake City Stars with some major threes. He missed his only free throw, though. 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, a block, a plus 6 for AJ Hoggart. Those guys were the two main drivers. My third star is Tyson Degenhart. Tyson Degenhart started this game, and he was a very active scorer. 28 minutes, 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 2 of 2 from 3, 1 of 1 from free throw, and he had 10 rebounds. So a double-double for Tyson Degenhart. 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, a plus 3. Yeah, he's a really talented offensive player, and I love it when he gets in there and mixes up the boards. In some ways, he slots at the 4 for us. But if in the NBA, he's probably a 3 or maybe even a 2. But with the G League size, he has to play power forward for us right now. And he's a very important rebounder for the 905 at this point. My fourth star of the game is Markelle Fultz. So let's look at what Markelle did in his earlier game when he played for 905 at noon, because he did play both games. 14 minutes for Markelle, 12 points. That's pretty good. 5 of 7 from the field. He made his only free throw. He didn't take a single 3. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, and a -1. I really liked his points per minute production. 12 points in 14 minutes. It's not like he played a huge amount of the game. And in some ways, what we're just talking about, veteran presence and an NBA experience was gleaned to help the 905 in some ways on that court. But alas, he had 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 0 turnovers. That's his stats. So it's like, I really gave it to him for his shooting, for getting 5 of 7. And my final star of the game for yesterday's Raptors 905 game is Elijah Martin. Elijah, 32 minutes, 16 points on 7 of 16 shooting, 1 of 6 from 3, 1 of 3 from free throw, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, and 2 steals, a plus 15 for Elijah Martin. I was shocked that he was not present at the Raptors game later. Him and AJ Lawson not getting their two ways to be there, because they could have been playing in that garbage time late last night, but they weren't. So I don't know what's going on with that. They called up Markelle. Markelle gets the time. But in some ways, do you guys think Markelle Fultz is better than Elijah Martin? Do you think he's better than AJ Lawson? That's what I'm asking y'all right now. Seriously. Alas, the 905 have 2 more games left. They're going to play on Thursday and Saturday, I believe, against the Wisconsin Herd here in Mississauga at Paramount Fine Food Center, the last 2 regular season games, and then they'll have their playoffs. So, yeah, the rest of the team, let's go ahead and go over them. An honorable mention maybe for let's give the honorable mention to, I guess we'll give it to Quincy Guerrier. 21 minutes, 8 points for Big Q. 2 of 3 from the field, missed his only 3. 2 of 3 at the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. Tyrese Samuel in the starting lineup, 20 minutes, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 turnovers. Those 2 big Montreal guys have been fantastic. Sar and Roddy are gone, and now it's Samuel and Guerrier who are going to hold it down as the bigs for the 905 at this point. And they're doing a pretty decent job. AJ Lawson had a bit of a bad shooting game yesterday. 35 minutes for the kid from Brampton, 11 points on 4 of 12 shooting. He missed all 5 of his threes, 1 of 3 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, though, with 4 assists and 0 turnovers and a steal. So, yeah, it's a tough game for AJ. He just didn't shoot well. Tyler Perry got in for 2 minutes at the end of the game, didn't really do anything. So did Stone Cold Carrawell. Caleb Stone Carrawell got in for 2 minutes at the end of the game. Jarkel Joyner, 25 minutes, 10 points on 3 of 10 shooting, 1 for 1 from 3, 2 for 3 at the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals, a plus 13 for Jarkel Joyner. Yeah, it's a good team all around contributions and beating the Salt Lake City Stars. Now, in some ways, this was exactly like the Jazz game where we had a huge lead. We're kicking that team's ass from the start, and then they ate up the lead in the last part of the game to make the margin look closer because we were beating them. I think the highest lead that the 905 had yesterday was 26 points. And, well, they ended up only losing by 15 by the end of the game. So they ate up 10 of the points in the garbage time, just like with the Raptors game. Same thing happened. But both teams won, and that's all that matters because the Jazz and Salt Lake City both outscored the Raptors teams in the fourth quarter in both games. The Raptors 905 shot 54% from the field to their 45%. They made 10 threes. We only made 9, but we weren't relying on the 3 to win this. The free throw line, we shot horrible too. Like both Raptors teams shot like in the 50s from the free throw line yesterday. They shot 59%, which is pretty bad. We out-rebounded them 44-39. Assist to turnover ratio, 28-15 for the Raptors 905. That's about 2-1, and that's pretty good. Fast break points, 16-9, and then we dominated them in the paint, 64 points in the paint for the Raptors 905 yesterday. So, yeah, great job by them. If I'm going to give any shine to the other side, it's going to be Darren Sebron, who had 19 points and 7 rebounds and 7 assists. And, CBL star Sean East had 11 points. Yeah, they didn't have anybody really going off for them. Their team wasn't as talented. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, there's your check-in on the Raptors 905 box score from their victory over Salt Lake City Stars yesterday. Yeah, it's pretty good. Let's see. Jimmy's saying this. I wanted Ace so bad, laughing my ass off. I know he's going to be so damn good, but CMB is our dog. Yeah, we didn't have a place to get Ace Bailey. I mean, was there a outcome where Ace Bailey's agent did so bad for him that he fell all the way to our pick and got on our team? Maybe. I guess that we wanted that agent to act like an ass even more. Maybe that would have worked. I don't know. Let's see. Fiercely saying Ace hit a 3, which I believe they waived. He was not happy. Could see him pouting. So funny to watch. You can tell he cares about his stats. Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting player. He's very, very athletically talented. Very, very athletically talented. I love that. Yeah. Let's see. Where am I at? Fiercely saying Cam Thomas is a volume shooter, but horrible defender. No, thank you. Yeah. I mean, this is something that's becoming a thing in the NBA in the last 2 years is about negative value, like negative towards winning. It's something that I've always looked at in players the whole time I've been watching the NBA. It's just that people didn't really take this into account. Like, I think it's because the two-way player is becoming more mandatory. It's kind of like, Trae Young has been found out to be not a winning player, and the Hawks have moved on from him. And part of it is that, to have him in such a prominent role on your team, it's not conducive to winning overall. This is part of the reason why I wasn't as big a fan of Allen Iverson during his career. Sure, he was impressive, a little guy that can dunk like that and can score like that, but I never respected him for winning basketball. In fact, when the Sixers got to the finals that one year, I was like, they're not going to win because there's flaws with Iverson. And there's been players like that all throughout the history of the NBA. It's just in some ways, it's like now they're recognizing this and they're saying, you know what? You may be a really good, talented scorer, but you don't do jack shit on the defensive end, and you are hurting us more than you're helping us. They said RJ Barrett was a toxic asset. but there's actually real toxic assets out there that they tout as being amazing players that are absolutely toxic assets. Paul George, Cam Thomas, Trey Young. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, at this point, you could even say somebody like John Morant is a toxic asset. And then ESPN's going to write an article saying that Jakob Poeltl is a toxic asset because of his contract, and they did. They wrote an article this week saying that one of the dumbest moves in the last year was us extending Jakob Poeltl. They're idiots. And once again, this is just bullshit propaganda put out to kind of like, they don't like Poeltl on our team. Trust me, because Poeltl is a thing that can get us a championship. Let's just put it that way. He doesn't wear 19 for no simple reason. Honestly, y'all know why he wears 19, right? Because that's the year we won the championship, and he wants another one for Toronto. So every time Jakob Poeltl walks on the court with the number 19, he's reminding everyone what we're on point for, to go get the second Larry O'Brien for the Raptors franchise, and that number 19 symbolizes the first one, the one that he didn't get while his friend Siakam did, and he was in San Antonio with DeMar. So, yeah, there you go. Bryce is saying prayers for Moody, intense knee injury. What's Moses Moody of Golden State or something? Yeah, I don't know anything about this. I'm not paying attention to the NBA in general. This is a Raptors-centric channel. In some ways, if somebody got hurt, I hate that. We do prayers for people like him, and I did one yesterday. Kareem saying Vinay is back for tax season. Yeah, they're calling him. They're after him again. Is this a Vinay? I want to tell them. It's like, I want to do these jerky boy calls. If they're going to telemarket me, if somebody's going to call me during 9:30 and 11:30 in the morning, they might be on my show. They need to know that. All right, y'all, let's do the straight goods on Canadian goods. Guys, this is going to be a fun one. I'm going to do a taste test today for the straight goods on Canadian goods because my friends at Cover Bridge, the potato chip company, Canadian potato chips, have come out with a new flavor that I think is crazy. Up here in Canada, we have special potato chip flavors that they don't have in the States, and it wows people. What is this ketchup chips? What is this gravy and turkey chips or some shit like that? We have weird flavored chips up here. Well, I think I might have found one of the weirdest ones so far. And this is it. Cover Bridge, my favorite potato chip company in the world, has now Atlantic Lobster potato chips. That sounds crazy. It sounds bougie. We won both games yesterday. And I'm like, let's celebrate with some lobster. Why not? Atlantic Lobster flavored potato chips. So I'm going to try one for the first time on the show. And this is a little bit like other YouTube channels where they do food reviews or, stuff like that. We'll do this. Why not? Let me open this up and get one of these out of here and see what this is like. First, you got to be like a wine taster. Smell it. Okay. Smells like a potato chip. Smells salty. Maybe smells a little seawatery, like a lobster or something like that. Let's see. All right. Okay. I can see it a little bit. It's weird. Like, I wouldn't think that I could taste lobster off a potato chip. I got to try another one. Yeah, Lays, you can't have just one. In some ways, to me, it's kind of like a barbecue chip. But there is kind of a weird, like crab meat taste to it. Crab meat, right? It is kind of like that, right? Oh, we got a call today, guys. It's the reaction show. And we got the man who beat the machine, Mr. Stargate. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What do you think about these chips, man?
But I didn't even see them. Sorry.
I'm trying Atlantic Lobster Cover Bridge chips on the show right now.
Oh, those? Yeah, my daughter loves those. I don't eat those. I know what you're talking about.
She got the lobster chips?
Yeah.
She likes them?
Those.
Ah.
Yeah. The lobster ones. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool.
Yeah. It's funny. I just called in to react to what you were just saying just a while ago there about toxic players.
Yeah.
And players that are not conducive to winning.
Yeah.
And it's funny that, and I know I'm going to get some pushback from that from some of the RFF family there. It's funny that you mentioned that just right after you guys were glazing Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey is one of those players that you're absolutely talking about.
Really?
He's going to give you a whole bunch of offense, a whole bunch of nice plays, but he ain't going to win shit.
Because you don't think he plays defense?
Shit. No, he's not going to win nothing. He's one of those players. He's just about his stats. He's just about looking good. And please, stop it. Stop.
Well, in some ways, this is my first introduction to him. And and he did look impressive last night with 37 and the way he shot.
Yeah, but so does James Harden. So does
now
they all of these guys they shoot. They're not.
I want more evidence in the future, but you could be right. I don't know. It's some ways
you can tell. Even when he was in college, you could just tell the type of guy he is, man.
Well, I mean, it is interesting that Rutgers team did not get into the tournament in his senior year, right? In his last year, that like with Dylan Harper and him, they didn't get in there. That's interesting. All right, this is what I'm going to think. The one thing I will say, Stargate, that may defend Ace Bailey is if he wants to stay in the league, he's going to have 2 ways on himself, right? He's going to have to be more of a 2-way player, right? And he has the wingspan that could be a possibly good shot blocker. Like he could be a decent defender if he tries.
All of that is individual, Lex. It's not about just the individual. It's about how you make the team better, right? Look at Con Knipple. Con Knipple made his team better, right? And I'm going to admit I was wrong about him, right? Because when he was coming in, I was like, right? But to me, he's a better player than he's more conducive to winning than Cooper Flag, in my opinion. Yeah, I can see him winning a championship quicker than Cooper Flag is. Absolutely.
This is interesting. Absolutely. I didn't read this part of this, and maybe that I just don't have enough information. It could also be a couple years of Ace Bailey on the Utah Jazz. We'll see if it's going anywhere or not. And very well could be that your declaration that you just made is absolutely true. It's like
you can just tell.
You can tell.
The one guy though, there's one guy that I've been saying that if he only gets his maturity together, there's one guy who right now he's looking like a toxic player, and we just saw him a few games ago. This is the one guy that I see, if he only gets his maturity and he gets that, that mama mentality, that DeRozan code type mentality down, if he just sets the flip that switch, he is gonna be
who?
Like we just saw him a few days ago.
Fleming?
Nope.
Malawach?
Same team.
Common.
No, it is Jalen Green.
Oh, Green.
The only thing he needs to do, he's an immature, and he just needs to just, we don't know. I don't know if if he continues to be, this childish, right? He's going to just be one of those players, one of those offensive players that's not going to do anything. But if he can just switch it, right? It's the maturity with him.
I feel like seeing Jalen Green 2 times in the last month playing against us, I feel like he has matured since he left Houston. I think that he got traded and he got a little bit of a wake-up call about the business. And in some ways, I can see what you're saying as far as like if Jalen Green really dedicates himself to defensive stuff and learning how to cover up guys and do a really good job like that you may be right. But to me, because of their frames and the way that they are, I think that Ace Bailey is more likely to be like this than Jalen Green. But this is just all perceptions and differences, right?
True. That's true.
Yeah.
But to me, Jalen Green passes the ball more, right? And he involves his teammates more than Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey was just looking out for himself yesterday. He wasn't passing the ball.
Well, the one thing that we can say about the game yesterday is Ace Bailey was maybe the only effective Jazz player on the whole court.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Although Kennedy Chandler was trying to do it, man.
Well, he's being more of a point guard. Like Kennedy has that ability to just go off and be selfish and just be a ball hog, but in some ways he knows that's going to not keep him around that team.
He had a few air balls yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, but I was impressed with Kennedy, honestly, in a lot of ways, because like I said, he just showed up on that team. And if you watch the game and you didn't know that, you wouldn't think that he just been on that team like barely a couple games, right? Like he really integrated himself with them fast. So, but all right, we're going to put a pin on Ace Bailey and your declarations about him. And we might as well do it for Jalen Green also in what you just said. Stargate, any last points real quick?
No, that's it, man. That's it. Good game yesterday. Another thing I want to say about the Clippers, right? Everybody's you're worried about the Clippers. The Clippers are in the 8th seed and they're 500, right?
Mm-hmm.
They should beat this team, man. Come on.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And we owe them. We owe them. If we're keeping track, and just like Phoenix is going to bounce around like a boomerang and hit us upside the head after beating them the first game, they want to come back and get us. We should have this energy for the Clippers, even if we have not played them recently.
We're down to the wire now, man. This is time,
These all matter.
Yeah.
I think we have like 3 or 4 games before the end of this month. And I was looking at it, for us to have a 500 record in the month of March for this year, we have to win 3 out of the 4 games left to overcome it. And I think it's somewhat doable. We really need to win that Orlando game on Sunday. We got to beat the Pelicans for sure on Friday. And if we beat the Clippers tomorrow night, that means 3 of them are done then. And it doesn't matter what we do against the Pistons on the last day of the month.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good call, man.
Get these ones out of the way. These ones out of the way, and
one game at a time. Clippers, Pelicans, Magic, Pistons. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Stargate, bless you, man. And that's awesome that your daughter likes these chips. All right, man. Stargate, bless and always love, man. And I'll catch up with you online, and also call me in more often on my guy. All right.
Yeah, man. All right, man.
All right, man. Later. Awesome. Let's go Raptors. Awesome, man. Awesome. You know what? I may be blind to this aspect about Ace Bailey he's talking about here. This is interesting. I'm gonna remember this. We're gonna have to see what the career trajectory of Ace Bailey has. Is he going to be one of these big fish in a little pond that he's just going to soak up everything and look good and be a stat monster like you guys are saying? He only cares about his stats? Or will he be able to form his game into being more of a team player and helping his team elevate to go to the highest levels like a player like Scotty Barnes? That's right. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see. Fiercey's saying, Lex, can you quickly check how many games Scotty has played? I believe he needs 65 to be eligible for Defensive Player of the Year. You're asking me to Google something, and you could just do it. All right, let me go and look at Scotty on Basketball Reference and just see what his total is. That's the easiest place for me to go look right away. Scotty's played his amount already. He's fine. He's got 68 games down. He needs 65. He's 3 over. So he's already locked to be postseason awards eligible. So, yeah, he's got 68 games played. He's already over the numbers. So he's good, man. He's good. Kespra, the fact checker. Good to see the fact checker in the house. It's like they saw some breathing room due to teams below us falling short. So they're like, let's take the back-to-back off. I mean, this is common. Like when the team is not that good, we see it in all kinds of levels of games. And sometimes we see it as posturing before the game. Like we could be playing the Knicks, and all of a sudden in the afternoon, we hear Cat is out for the night. And then all of a sudden, Darko says, well, Yachts rest tonight too. There's a little bit of that kind of what's the right word? There's a little bit of that gamemanship, or kind of like, you know, the Celtics would do this a lot in the last couple of years with Jalen and Jason. They would not play them every night. They would alternate them. And in some ways that allowed them to both work at a high level as the man on their team without the other guy there. And they did a really good job of it in getting their championship that year. But there's that kind of stuff. And it's kind of like when we show up against teams like Boston or New York, and we see that they're sitting like 2 or 3 starters. Sometimes we'll rest guys on those games just because we see their powers are at that. And part of the reason why is if we play a team full strength and they're missing 2 starters, they can say all kinds of smack. And we can say, oh my gosh, we had our full team. We can't beat them. So it's kind of smart to rest guys when other teams are resting on the other side and mirroring them. Because then you can always have the excuse, well, we didn't have Brandon. Well, we didn't have Jaylen Brown. You know, shit like that. That's kind of what this is to a degree. Now, think about it. If the Raptors had been fully healthy last night, and we put the whole team out there, and God forbid somehow we lost to the Jazz that bad, think about how bad we would feel. Like, we had our best team possible, and we just lost the lottery tanking ass Jazz, and they're not even trying to win right now. That would be bad. So in some ways, you temper damage control by saying, all right, these guys are out. And we can always, if we do lose the game, we can always say, well, these guys weren't in the game. We would have won. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? At least Scotty didn't get injured by Jokic. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Scotty, we got to remember Scotty's an emotive person. He's somebody that doesn't have much of a filter for, in some ways, he's overacting too. Like, he'd probably be a good wrestler because he could sell moves. Like, somebody comes up to him and punches him, he goes, whoa, he can really show a reaction. And some of it is also Scotty can get, he's over emotive because he's trying to get the refs to call shit. So he'll be like, holding his eye. He'll be doing stuff like this, or he'll be like, whoa, or doing all that kind of stuff after it. Or, this is part of the thing too with players in general. They'll lay on the floor longer now. Part of it is to get rest. Part of it is also to kind of milk it and make the refs really kind of think, is this guy really hurt? Like, he's over there laying down still. Maybe we need to go check it at the table, to see for a flagrant. There's a lot of milking things right now too. And as much as people will flop to embellish, to try and draw calls, they may also act overly hurt to try and get favor of the refs too. And I feel like half of this is what's going on with Scott. We see him doing different stuff like limping or doing things. I'm not saying he's not getting hurt, but there may be a certain level of like, I'm trying to do this just to get sympathy kind of shit, right? Does that make sense? And that's smart if he is getting more calls because of that. We got to remember he's built like a tank and he can take a lot of like hits, and he does, and he doesn't get anything for it. So in some ways he may be going to acting school a little bit just to make more attention on contact that he's taking. So that's something we got to remember about with him. And the other thing we got to remember about him is he's the type of player that will play hurt, and he doesn't give a shit if he's hurt. He's going to be out there playing no matter what. This is what he's trying to do. The chipmunk's back again. I'm so happy the chipmunk's back. This is 2 days in a row I've seen a chipmunk in my yard. That is a sign that spring is coming. That's right. The chipmunks really do hibernate the whole winter. You don't see them come out during the winter. Well, he's back. Good to see you, chipmunk. Chippy chipmunk. Oh, you're so cute. Look at that chipmunk out there. That's fun. That's fun. All right, let's see. You hope IQ and BI are okay. See, that's another thing I've been speculating on with IQ. I don't know if that plantar fasciitis is actually that bad. I don't know if it is, and the heel too for Brandon. That I think that's just something like, what? If you want to sit, go ahead and sit. Seriously. Jimmy's saying, Lex, we know what we're capable of, not shitting on the win, but a win against the Jazz isn't something to gas up about. We did what I know this team should do against tanking team, domination. That's what I'm saying. Let's not rain on the parade. Let's enjoy a W. It's still an NBA team. And like, seriously, I don't like people telling me not to be proud of my team when they win, because they won. It's still the NBA. And I don't give a shit what the opponent is. I don't. We needed this win. We got it. And in some ways, that's the way I look at it. You guys can go ahead and not validate it or think that it's that great, but I'm going to be the other guy and do it a different way. That's right. Kaloy saying this. Yeah, I really wish the Raps can be consistent on a night-to-night basis. Morning, everyone caught a stomach bug in the weekend, and that sucked. What? Everyone caught a stomach bug in the weekend, and that sucked. What, in your life, Kaloy? Is Santino got a stomach bug? I don't want that for that guy, that little guy. No. Rice is saying, Lex, I think you're shading Markelle bad. I think you're wrong, man. I have no reason to pump him up yet until he proves something to me. Maybe I am shading him bad. Maybe this is on the low key a way that I motivate just in case they do listen to me. In some ways, this is something I've been doing with Elijah Martin. This is something I did with Marquise Noel before, because I know their paths are hard. In some ways, it's the same energy I had for Fred VanVleet when he first showed up on the Raptors in the 905. I don't know if Fred's going to make it. Fred's that kind of player. He's undersized, and in some ways, his route is so hard. Well, bet on yourself. Fred VanVleet did make it, and I was wrong. So the opportunity for these guys to prove me wrong is there. I said the same stuff about Noel. in his year on the Raptors. And well, we saw what happened to him. I've been saying a similar thing about Elijah Martin this season. In some ways, I want to see it happen in real life, but in some ways, maybe my motivation is to say, you can't do it. And maybe if they hear me, they will. And then I'll be like, I'm glad you did. I'm proud of you. Because I'm proud of Fred. And I will admit that I was wrong about Fred when he originally came to the Raptors. I didn't think he'd get through and do what he did and be who he is today. I thought he'd just be a normal, undrafted guy who came in and got a little bit of a chance and just went away. And well, that's kind of how I deal the guys that are at this level at this point. And Markelle is at this point right now because his chances in the NBA are running out. And even if he's that good, somebody said earlier, injuries have robbed him of some of his talent. And I just want to see if he's helpful to us. Obviously I can't do anything about him playing for our team. I wouldn't have done this. But Bobby has obligation to do this for him. And well, take the opportunity, run with it, Markelle Fultz, and make an impact on the Raptors in a way that, you get the second day, 10-day contract, and we'll see where it goes from there. So we'll just have to see, man. But I like this, Bryce. And in some ways, this is important that we not all agree with everything on this channel. It's important. This is not a cult of personality. This is a place where I want you guys to disagree with me. And if I'm wrong, yeah, call me out. Seriously, call me out. Chloe's saying the Raps have a different look when BI is away. It's a more passing team. It's interesting. And in some ways, you think about because I've said this recently, it's that is the one starter that I would switch out possibly if we're going to trade anybody in the starting lineup. I don't want the other four guys to go anywhere. The other four guys are keepers. Brandon can be possibly flipped for a talent that is same level in the league that may be a different kind of fit. Now, if Brandon likes being here and he wants to do things right and he stays here, I'm okay with that too. I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about the five starters and who I would trade first out of any of them, I would possibly consider him first. Not IQ, not Jakob, and not RJ. And that's the other people are putting more focus on those guys and seeing what we can do with them. I'm like, no, man. In some ways, with Ingram's value in the league and the fact that we built him from, think about the value we got him for trading to get him. And it's like buying a house and flipping it. You buy a house that's in bad shape, you fix it up, and then you sell it for a higher price. We could do this with Ingram to an extent as a player because he's an all-star this year. And he's returned to form, and he has way more value right now than he did at this time last year, right? So in some ways, you could do some interesting things with him if you did really want to trade him. And who knows who could be that other person you're trading for at that level and plugging them in that spot. It's not that I want to do this to Brandon. In some ways, he's been great. But I do see also that this could be a place where we improve the team somehow, some way to another level. If you think about what I just said, then the flipping the house kind of thing, right? Kesper's saying we have a reputation of closing off hyped legacies. Linsanity in the NBA was capped off with a championship on our coattails. Let's see if Fultz gets the same story. It's not likely that the Raptors will win the NBA championship this year, but it's a lot more likely that the G League championship is with hand for the 905 and the possibilities. I just think it would be an ironic, fun story if Fultz was a G League champion for the Raptors after being a number one pick for the Sixers so many years ago. I just think it would be very interesting and fun. And in some ways, that would be something fun to have to say to Sixers Nation, yeah, your number one pick, Markelle Fultz, is a Raptors champion on the G League level. That'd be awesome. In some ways, he has to go back to the 905 to do this, though. And in some ways, 905 may actually really need him to get to the G League championship. And in some ways, him coming up and doing stuff in the NBA, it's like, yeah, I know that's what he really wants. But isn't there something fun about having a successful season where you win a G League championship also? And having that on your resume, Markelle Fultz? I think regardless, he's got Europe in his future anyway in the next 2 years. And, he could have certain accolades with us before he leaves. And then he goes and makes a lot of money like a Jordan Lloyd or a Lorenzo Brown over in Europe. And he makes a ton of money. But he's probably not going to go to Europe. He'd probably go to Asia because his following in China is off the charts. It's off the charts. So he could go there and he can make extremely huge amount of money over there. Watch. G saying Bulls beat the Rockets, so anything can happen in this league. Exactly. And Udoka's whining and complaining about the refs with the Rockets losing to the Bulls that just came together 2 months ago. My friend Steve's been calling me recently and asking me to handicap the games and kind of help him figure out his betting. And that was a game that I was like, yeah, the Bulls are bad, man. They just got together at the trade deadline. They traded everybody out, and they're all very new, and they don't know each other. So seeing them beat the Rockets last night, that's really bad for Houston. They are in disarray. They obviously need Fred VanVleet. They're in disarray. How can a team as talented as them lose to the Rockets? Lose to the Bulls that are so disarray and just so new to each other? Testament to Billy Donovan and, maybe some pride with guys like Josh Giddey and Mattis Buzelis. So, yeah, that's amazing. I was shocked that happened. There were a couple outcomes last night that really shocked me. In fact, let's go to the Raptors Redditor of the day, because this is one of them. Right here is Sweaty Try 1547. Sweaty Try's been to the Raptors Redditor of the day a couple times. You've done pretty good. His is way to go, Siakam, my favorite player. Yes, you guys know that our guy Siakam did a solid for our team last night in defeating the Orlando Magic in Orlando, the lowly Pacers, the worst team in the Eastern Conference, with their great coach, Rick Carlisle, and the great Siakam, came up and beat the Magic to help us in the standings race. So Sweaty Try is giving his kudos to our guy. They had a 16-game losing streak, the Pacers, before last night. And Siakam, I don't know if he looked at the standings. I don't know if he took into account his old team to help them, but he did help us yesterday with 37 points. So salute to Sweaty Try and salute to Pascal Siakam, a great Raptor of all time who went and helped us. He's not playing for a whole lot right now. He could be looking at it. Yeah, I could see Siakam doing this for us, looking at the standings. Hey, man, if I beat Orlando today, it really helps Toronto. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And he goes out there in motivation and kicks the Orlando Magic's ass. So salute to you, Pascal. You're a real one. We love you. We love you so much. He's such a badass, man. That's right. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if he gets the same on the 905. Yeah. Bryce is saying Markelle is far more proven than any of those guys you claim and you bring up instead. If we were trying to win, why are you bring up unproven guys? Because they're performing way better. Bryce, do you watch 905? Do you watch any Raptors 905 games? Have you watched any in your life? I've watched every 905 game for the last 4 years for the most part. I know the players on that team that are doing what they're doing. Tyreek Key is a way better offensive player than Markelle Fultz. And in fact, in some ways, his experience and his ability to know what to do is the same level. It's just that he's never gotten a chance in the NBA. Tyreek Key is a way better three-point shooter. And what do we need for our team? Three-point shooting. In some ways also, I just like giving rewards to guys who've been toiling and doing a really good job, because Key's been on our 905 team for 2 years now. 2 years. He was on the team last year too. And he's been one of the most solid contributors offensively, whether he's off the bench or starting for Drew Jones' team. And the other thing is, for 2 years, he's been playing the Raptors system. So if he came up on the Raptors, and I'd love to see a 10-day contract reward to him because he deserves it, honestly. That's what it is. I see guys that are working their asses off, and they're playing better than Markelle Fultz. And in some ways, Markelle Fultz gets it on his reputation, his first draft pick status. In some ways, I don't give a shit about any of that. I want results. I want guys on the court that are actually doing shit. And like I said, Key was the best player in the game yesterday, not Markelle Fultz, against the Salt Lake City Stars. So you got to watch the 905. And I don't know. You got to see where Markelle Fultz actually is right now. In some ways, like I said, he's not impressed me in any kind of way. I don't see any super skill that he does that's above average than anybody else. It's really a mystery to me about him. And I guess we're on the opposite of the coin with him. And maybe I'll see more of what you see, but maybe you'll see more of what I see also as we go forward. But yeah, you have to see these games to have a basis of opinion on this. You know, the 905's done a really good job of building guys up to go to the league, Roddy, Sarr, and Reese. And, well, there's still guys there that could probably come up and play some NBA time and deserve it. I would even say Tyson Degenhart deserved to be up on the Raptors before Markelle Fultz because he's got some interesting three-point shooting. In some ways, he's in the ilk of Dick and Battle and the ability to make some three-point shots possibly. So I'm just saying. G's saying this. KD had 40, Sengun had 33, and they still lost? Wow. Let's enjoy any win we get. A loss would have been demoralizing. It would have – I don't even know if I would have showed up this morning. Seriously, for the show. I don't know if I would have showed up. I would have been like, guys, I'm actually going to take a day off because I don't want to even deal with this if we had lost last night. Seriously, it would have been bad. Raptors Champs is saying, good morning, Raptor freaks and champs. A real confidence booster for our bench. Shed definitely needed this. And the great thing is, like, all right, it wasn't that Shed got it going offensively and really started hitting his shot again. It's just that he got a lot of run. He got confidence in being a true point guard and getting a lot of assists. That's good. Yeah. And this is a good game for people to younger guys to get some good run and more time and build confidence for sure. For sure with the Jazz. Ibrahim's here. Good morning, Ibrahim. Thank you for the subscription. NBA standings are heating up. Yeah. Yes. On both sides. The Western Conference has a similar kind of thing going on with the Suns and the Rockets and the Timberwolves on the other side, where it's real bunched up. And even Denver's kind of involved in it too. So, you know, it's a similar thing to our side with Atlanta and the Florida teams and Charlotte. And it all extends from just outside of the play-in into the play-in. And it's really the difference between being a playoff team and a play-in team. And it's happening on the West Conference also. That's right. G saying, thank you, Pascal, for beating down Orlando. Yeah, thank you, Siakam. Thank you. Ibrahim saying, Detroit versus Raptors, March 31st. Looking forward to the rematch. Oh, yeah. Is Ibrahim our Pistons freak coming in to check on us? Yeah. You know, I was happy that we got you guys the last time we played. But now we're going to go back to your house and play you guys on the last day of the month. And that in Little Caesars Arena, that could be a tough place to play. And listen, I've been worried about you guys because Cade's gone out with this collapsed lung. But apparently you guys were fine last night and beating the Lakers. So congratulations on that. The Lakers had not lost a whole lot recently. In fact, they were on a huge win streak. And, well, Detroit beat them by 3 last night at home and ended their win streak. And that's impressive without your guy Cunningham. So kudos to Pistons Nation and getting a big win over the Lakers last night. I can get behind that. I like when the Pistons beat the Lakers all the way back to the 80s. That's right. Neil's saying this. Fultz also has a fuller body than Shed right now. However, Fultz needs to show another gear. He's got some interesting strength, and he does have veteran know-how. There's no doubt that those are two things that are a plus for him, for sure, for sure. Kareem's saying, happy birthday, Chris Bosh. I hope people are showering you with champagne like the infamous picture after your chip with the Heat. Rent an Airbnb for a week in Toronto and walk the streets. We're forgiving. Don't ghost us or leave us on read for much longer. Yeah, I don't care. I don't have any affinity for Chris Bosh. He defriended me on Facebook. No lie. This is true. In the 2000s, when Chris played for us in the early days of Facebook, I was Facebook friends with Chris Bosh. And I would write him messages regularly through the Facebook, encouraging messages, telling him, oh, you guys can do this. And I'm proud of you guys. You did this. You won with Sam Mitchell and TJ Ford and did this. I used to write him all the time. And I don't know how much he read my stuff. But you know what happened when he made the decision with LeBron James to go meet up with Dwayne Wade? He defriended me off Facebook because he knew I was one of the diehard Raptors fans and that I would be like kind of pissed at him from going to Miami. So this is actually a claim to fame on my bucket list that I was defriended by Chris Bosh on Facebook when he went to Miami to join LeBron. So yeah, in some ways I have a personal issue with him because he defriended me off Facebook. God forbid. He did. He went and defriended me and probably defriended a bunch of Raptors people immediately when he knew he was going. Yeah. As I went and looked after the decision, it was like, whoa, Chris isn't my friend anymore. You can feel that when people defriend you and you're like, whoa, you see somebody on Facebook somewhere else and you're like, whoa, wait a second. I thought we were friends. Yeah. That happened to me with Christopher Wesson. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? All right. Let's see. Trevor's saying Jacoby since March, all 5 games made 18 threes. His shooting percentage is insane. Let's just put it that way. His shooting percentage is insane for the last month with 3-point shooting. It's on a whole other level. In some ways, it's like better than anybody's done recently anywhere in the NBA. Excuse me. G's saying I'm rooting for Fultz, and I hope he can fulfill his potential. But there are players that work their butts off in the 905 with better showing that also deserve a chance, in my opinion. That's my stance right there. And G's watched 905 games. I've seen him in there with me watching them. I think that AJ Hogarth could give us more than Markelle Fultz right now. AJ Hogarth's a strong guard too. He's able to get in the lane, and he's very good with finishing in traffic. And his 3-point shot's on right now. He had this crazy wraparound bounce pass yesterday in the G League game that was high level. It was like around a defender, and he went and it bounced, and it got right to the guy, Degenhart, and he laid it right in, right next to the basket. So, there are guys that deserve it more on that team, and I feel like this is just by name that Markelle got this. Seriously, I'm telling you right now, man. I'm telling you. And G knows what I'm talking about. Kareem's saying this, I want AJ Lawson. I'm kind of pissed he didn't get more burn with the big squad. He deserves it. He's 25 and he's ready. Well, let's talk about this because he wasn't even available to play last night in the late game. He played heavy minutes in the early game, and both him and Elijah did not get called up to play against the Jazz. Now, in the Instagram stories, there's some clues to this. So let's go there right now. First, we got RJ Barrett with a highlight from last night of him on the break making a layup. There we go. Kelly Olynyk has got all kinds of food once again on his Instagram. Stop doing this to us. Sandra Mamu is mourning a religious leader back in Georgia that passed away. Patriarch Ilya II has passed away, and he is recognizing his passing and somebody that matters to his country, where he comes from. There's Colin Murray-Boyles coming into the game last night in his fit. Slim Duck is back in Toronto, guys. We've got a Chris Boucher sighting in Toronto. He went to the old Raptors barber and got his hair done up. And he said, I miss my dog for real. So Chris is showing a post in Toronto right now as of yesterday and got his hair did by the Raptors guy who does all the Raptors hair. So he said he missed his hair getting styled by this dude. So that's nice to see that Chris is back in Canada and in Toronto specifically. Jacoby Walter has his little famous thing where Curtis Andrade kicks the ball to him and then he turns around and shoots the 3. That's awesome. He's really far back from the 3 on the one from last night. He looked like close to where Shed hit that shot. Oh, man, that was crazy. Yeah, but Jacoby has a little high after he hit the shot. He does the little Jakob wave, and that was the graphic for that. Season high in points this season, 21 points for Jacoby Walter last night. Fantastic, man. It's saying here, he's got this. It's saying Jacoby Walter is shooting 19 of 27 from 3-point range over his last 6 games. 19 of 27 from 3. Wow, that is so good. Jamal Shed getting the chain on his Instagram, rocking it after the game. He totally deserved it. Looks like Brandon's having fun with him. Career high in assists, 15 assists for Jamal Shed. Let's see what else we got going on. Serge Ibaka was at a basketball game yesterday, but I'm not sure who he was. I think he was at a Clippers game or something. The Clippers play recently. Let's see. Fred VanVleet's got a whole bunch of fans in Chicago that were wearing VanVleet shirts, and kids were coming to high-five him and meet their hero, Fred VanVleet, even though he's not playing right now. The Toronto Tempo have really cool posts. They have a post of Serena Williams talking about why she became an owner of the Toronto Tempo. And also, they showed pictures of Monica Wright-Rogers and Sandy Brondello as children and saying stuff. This girl, she grows up to become the GM of the Toronto Tempo. She grows up to become the coach of the Toronto Tempo. That's cool stuff. Now, AJ Lawson is celebrating Markelle Fultz getting called up, and which is nice. He likes that. But then he's also got a message here, and this is from a movie. It says, negativity just brings failure. And we ain't trying to fail in this game. We're trying to succeed. I think that's a mixed message from AJ Lawson. about not being at the Jazz game last night. In some ways, I can theorize that Elijah Martin's getting frustrated as hell right now because he thinks he should have been at the Jazz game last night. And it could very well be, he's like, what the fuck? Markelle Fultz just showed up and he's going to play in the Raptors game and he's getting rotation minutes. I've been here all year. I've been waiting. I've been busting my ass for 905. It could very well be there's a little bit of this kind of stuff going on behind the scenes because for Elijah and AJ, it's confusing right now. You're two ways and you want to play on the big club. I know. But in some ways, you feel like you're not getting your chances. And maybe you saw the game last night and you're like, whoa, I could have played in this game. I could have done this and that, but I wasn't even there. I think that AJ's sending a message here. And his wisdom from his years in the NBA already is saying negativity just brings failure. And we ain't trying to fail in this game. We trying to succeed. So Elijah, hold it up. Good. Both you guys. Your time is going to come. Okay, Robert Plant? Your time is going to come. Andrew Jones celebrating the win yesterday, 116-101 over the Salt Lake City Stars. Yeah, Andrew Jones is getting a lot of attention. He's a hot commodity as a coach. And this dude, I'm telling you, he's going to be an NBA coach at some point. It's coming. It's going to come for him because he's like that. I'm serious. Scotty's posting a picture of him with Jalen Green. We just talked about Jalen Green. Of course, we know how tight they are. They're very, very close friends. And, well, they're brothers. And there's a picture from them after the game on Sunday against the Phoenix Suns, dapping each other. Yeah, that's a bond that's not going to get broken. Jalen Green, Scotty Barnes, very, very tight. Very, very, very tight. Let's see. There's Elijah Martin with some of the highlights from the Salt Lake City Stars victory that they had yesterday over them. And, yeah, that's pretty much the Instagram stories for today. Yeah, just AJ knows the assignment. It's like, wait your turn, get there. You're going to get there. And it may feel like it's coming forever. Listen, Elijah, you ain't waiting longer than AJ Lawson. AJ Lawson has been in the G League for years now. And in some ways, he's been really waiting for his turn. And, well, I expect, hopefully, it'd be nice if they converted AJ Lawson to a regular contract on the Raptors. I would love that. Seriously, I would love that. Yeah. Yeah, Kaloy saying Bobo playing out in the Philippines right now, and the locals are getting physical with him. Well, maybe they're getting physical with him on the court, and maybe some of the locals are getting physical with him off the court too. Well. Manute's son is in Philippines. Okay. Trevor's saying we have to give him a chance to get better. Maybe Raptors see something that we don't see in him. You're talking about Markelle Fultz. We'll have to see. Fiercely saying Jakob, number 19. That's right, number 19. Raptors Champs is saying my favorite 905 player was Jared Rhoden. He is currently playing in Paris, but I wish he was on the Raptors. What do you think Raptors are going to do with AJ Lawson? He's not getting younger. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I mean, in some ways, he's fantastic to have around the 905 because of his local native status of being from that area. And, his grandma comes to the game because she doesn't live that far from Mississauga. So there's a lot of cool things about Lawson being on our team, even if he's like the G League RJ Barrett, I mean, it's up to AJ. I mean, in some ways, sometimes what happens with guys being in the G League for so long is they get sick of it and they go cash out overseas. I don't know. I'd like something to break for him, and I'd love for him to be a full-fledged Raptor on a full contract, which is not out of the question. They could actually reward him by the end of the year and convert him from a two-way to a regular contract. That's the thing I'd like to see. I think he deserves it. And I am all for having more Canadians on the Raptors locked in. It was nice having Kelly Olynyk and Chris Boucher and RJ Barrett on the team at the same time. And in some ways, RJ's the only Canadian on the Raptors along with AJ. You make AJ a full-time Raptor. Well, that's more Canadian content. So I'm all for it. But there's no guarantees. I don't see things like Bobby Webster and Dan Tolzman in their eyes because I don't know what they're thinking. And it could very well be that, our AJ will have more frustration because he's just not getting there. But at the same time, like Courtney Charles said the other day in a vignette about AJ Lawson on Open Gym, he said this guy has been not expecting anything. He's just a good hard worker, and he goes with the ups and downs of things, and good things are going to happen to him in the end for that. And that's what we want to see. It pay off for him in the end and get that full contract off the two-way with the Raptors. That's what I want to see. But who's to say he could be gone this summer all of a sudden, and he's playing like Jared Rhoden in Europe all of a sudden, making a lot of money. Yeah, Jared's having a fantastic time over there. He's been very successful in winning, and he's making a lot of money, and he seems happy. So if you're upset about Jared Rhoden, he's living a good life over there in Europe, kicking ass in Paris. Yeah, he is. He's kicking ass. They're winning a lot over there. Let's see. Raptors champs is saying, laughing at Kaloy. I saw that, but he dropped some baskets on them. But I think Bobo's team still lost. Yeah, that'll be interesting. You know, in some ways, we wonder why is Bobo not really in the league? Well, he's in the Philippines, and that's just what happens. There's pro basketball around the world, whether it's the CBL, French league, or Philippines league, or NBL. There's the Basketball Africa League, BAL. There's so many different leagues now that people can go play in and get money. And really, when you're in the G League, you're really just trying to get your steps into the NBA. Or you're somebody who doesn't want to go overseas and doesn't mind just collecting a smaller check and playing professionally in North America like Patrick McCaw. So, yeah, there's different ones like that. Freezy's saying lobster chips. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, the emoticon looks just like the thing on the bag. Yeah, these aren't bad. I mean, they're weird. I wonder if there's short time only, or if there's something that they're like, oh, no, this is a good one. We're going to do this from now on. In some ways, I don't really feel like it's a natural kind of flavor. Atlantic lobster potato chips. When's the lobster get near the potatoes, right? Raptors champ saying, I agree with Kareem Thomas. I just read your comment. There you go. G saying, I hear Fultz is very humble, professional, and coachable. If they can get the most out of him, that would be awesome. That's what Andrew Jones said as soon as he showed up. He said he came in, he's been a really good veteran presence of professionalism around the 905 so far. Well, that definitely gets him some points, and that definitely possibly keeps him around. We'll see. We'll see. Once again, I'm going by basketball stuff that I'm looking at. I just don't see it. He could be a good citizen, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Let's see. Kaloyson, the only plus with Bailey is that he's young. Maybe he's moldable. We'll just have to see over time. It could very well be Stargate's exactly right. And he's not a winning player because he's too selfish over his career. And he doesn't care about being a team player. And that's a classic way to sink your team, is that you're very much a stat hound. You only care about your stats. And you could get a lot of good stats on a bad team and look real good individually, but your team ain't going nowhere and building to nothing. That could be possible right there. RJ Phillips is here. Randolph Phillips, good morning to you. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. It's a great day to celebrate life's blessings. So live with gratitude and thanksgiving by giving a blessing to others. With joy and happiness, light up their day. Yeah. Yeah. This guy came to my door the other day and he's looking for his dog. And I don't know the guy. He said, man, my dog ran away. If you see it, call this number. And I said, bless you, bless your dog. And I hope you find your dog. And he was just lit up. He's like, thank you. Seriously, I don't know him. In some ways, it's like, why should I care about him and his dog? Because I don't want him to be without his dog, right? So you can give blessings to people you don't even know. Say something to a person in a grocery store, say, bless you. I'm like, whoa, did I sneeze? No, I just want you to be blessed. I'm blessing you, just a stranger in the street, because I want more of this energy in the world. And we put this energy out, we'll generate more of it. Why not? Goodwill towards man. Isn't that a part of Christianity and the feelings of the teachings of God? Yeah. If you're going to be for life and love and humanity and natural world, the creator world, you got to, bless it and feel the blessings of it. And if you're for God money, well, you're not blessing anybody. You just have a selfish drive to accumulate more wealth for yourself to the detriment of everybody else. You're following God money and you're not really a true Christian. I'm just going to say that. You don't want to be following God money. You want to follow the true God, and that's love and light and blessings for everyone. That's right. That's right. Cream saying, Lex, don't eat live on the air. We know you're great when Matt and Jack do it. Well, this was the smart thing I did, and it was helpful by Stargate. Stargate called while I was doing the taste test, so I could munch on it while he talked. But yeah, you're right. In broadcasting school at Florida State, they taught us never eat on the air. But once again, I blur that line, like we said yesterday, between being a fan and being a professional media person. And in some ways, I can blur the line towards being a fan and eating a lobster potato chip on the air. If it bothered y'all, I'm sorry. I apologize if the noise of it was not pleasurable Or maybe it was, and you like ASMR, crunchy potato chip eating on the microphone. You guys want to try that? Let's do Lex potato chip crunching ASMR. Yeah, I don't want to become one of these channels. We're not an ASMR channel, but that was a one-time thing right there. All right, let's go. G's saying Fred got into Jalen Green's ear a lot before he was traded. They worked out and trained together. Yeah, there was footage of Fred VanVleet running up a Houston Hill with Jalen Green and him before they even played together in the offseason when he first went there. And, Fred's a good vet. He's always looking out for the young guys on his team, but he's no nonsense for immaturity. And, he was a good vet to Scotty, too. There's probably a weird bond between Jalen Green and Scotty because of Fred, because they're best friends before they met Fred, but they both had Fred as a vet. And in some ways, there's probably a little bit of a triangle of relationship between Barnes, Green, and VanVleet, which is kind of cool. That relationship between VanVleet and Barnes was so overblown by stupid idiots on other YouTube channels. They actually are pretty cool. I've heard only, since Fred has been doing his podcast this year, he's only spoke glowingly of Scotty Barnes, and he hasn't had anything bad to say about him. So whatever beef was perceived by certain Raptors people and Raptors media spaces, it wasn't true. Maybe there was a clash in styles and maturity levels. You got a guy who's a big kid. Scotty's very kid, fun guy. And Fred could never be a kid right from an early age. He had to grow up right away because of tragedy and different things that happened in his early life. So in some ways, they can't meet each other in certain shared experiences. And plus, Scotty's this big guy who's got all this talent in the world, and Fred was who he was, and he had to work so hard to get to what he was. So they don't have a whole lot in common. But there was a commonality of trying to win and caring about certain things basketball-wise that they had. So, even though Fred and Scott seem like they wouldn't get along, they probably naturally don't, kind of, because they come from very different walks of life and different kind of things. But they do have some things in common, and they're team first guys. And that is the most important one. And like I said, I've never detected Fred VanVleet shading Scotty Barnes or getting back at Scotty in any kind of way on his show. In fact, when he brings him up, it's always glowing. It's always glowing. Fiercely saying, yay, thanks for checking, Scott. Yeah, there you go. Checking Scotty. Yeah, Q-Man, thank you for the subscription. Kareem saying this, Victor Wembanyama played 56 games this season, and the Spurs have 10 games left. So if my brain is functioning, today means Victor needs to play 9 out of 10 games to be eligible for award season. Yes. And you're saying somebody find Tanya Harding's stick? Nancy Kerrigan? Oh my gosh. No, we're not going to do that to Victor. You may be a Denver Nuggets fan out west, but I'm a Spurs fan out west. Nobody go near Victor's legs with no lead pipe. All right? None of that stuff. We don't need that. We don't need that. Defensive player of the year goes to Scott. I don't think he would get it if Victor's out of it, though. I think he's in the top 5, consider it, but you know how they treat us. There's a reason why the Raptors have never gotten a defensive player of the year in the history of our franchise. We'll start with the first defensive team selection this year for Scotty, and we'll build from that. Make first team defense, Scott, this year, which is very likely, guys. I think he'll get it. And he'll have consideration with that accolade on his resume for getting defensive player of the year in the future. But, they're really going to try and get Wemby to be eligible to win this award. I don't think he's going to miss those games. I don't think he will. I think he's going to make it. Stargate saying right now, every win counts, whether it's a bad team or a good team. At this stage in the season, look at how close the standings are. Focusing on who we beat and who we don't is pointless and silly. I'm with him on this. We need this win just for the standings. Just for the fact the Hawks are on our heels. We need this win. Yeah, every win is important at this stage, for sure. The standings are too close to worry about nonsense like that. I'm totally with you on that. Kareem saying this, would you do 2 first-round picks and BI for Giannis? Yeah, I would possibly do something like that. Seriously. This is, of course, if he demands a trade. Who do you want, Lex? Put some names out there. I don't want to trade BI. I think we gel this thing. I don't want to trade anybody for sure, but that deal you just did, I think that would be very interesting if we did that. I don't think Giannis is trying to leave, though. This is funny. Giannis does things to like totally make the press look stupid. And the one that has happened recently is that the Bucks have asked Giannis Antetokounmpo to shut down for the season, and he refused. He's like, they come to him and say, all right, we won't want you to play anymore because we want to lose, right? But guys, I'm wasting my life if I don't play. I'm healthy. I want to play. I want to play. And they're like, no, don't play. We don't want you to play. But Giannis is like, come on, guys, I want to play. I don't want to sit around for no reason. If I can play, I want to play. And that's a sign to me right there. And Zach Lowe made up some convoluted reason why this isn't a sign that he wants to stay in Milwaukee. This is all bullshit. Man, if this man didn't want to play in Milwaukee and he wanted to get traded, why the hell would he be wanting to come back and play at the end of this season when they're not playing for anything? Think about it. Let's logic this out, Brian Windhurst. Does Giannis really want to get traded from the Bucks? Does his action in wanting to play some more still this season lead you to think that? No, it's the exact opposite. And so ESPN comes out with articles saying now there may be problems with moving Giannis in a trade this summer because of ownership and also this. No, bullshit. Y'all are covering your tracks because you made it so you think that for sure Giannis is getting traded this summer, but I don't believe it. And everything he said before, it's like, with the team's not competing, I want to be traded. I think that's all horse shit y'all made up. I think at this point, because he played with Lillard, he understands the grass isn't greener on the other side, and his life could be more miserable and upset than it is just staying in Milwaukee with his family. What does he have to prove to anything? Once again, a lot of the energy trying to push Giannis out of Milwaukee is the NBA head office for marketing and making money and putting him on a more high-profile team than the Milwaukee Bucks so they can market it and make him more paramount in the league. That's why this shit is happening. It has nothing to do with the Bucks, whether they want to trade him or Giannis wanted to be traded himself. It's all manufactured noise, and it's been consistent for years now. If it's been such a thing that was imminent to happen, well, what the fuck, boy who cried wolf? It's you 10 years you've been saying Giannis is getting traded. And you're going to say it now? And now I have an even more obvious reason that he doesn't want to. And the fact that he doesn't want to be shut down for the season. He wants to continue to play for the losing Bucks who have nothing to play for right now and risk his own injury in playing. Yeah, I love this team. I want to keep playing for the Bucks, even though we're not playing for nothing. Critical thinking, people. And don't believe the snow job that ESPN is trying to do on Giannis sweepstakes this summer. So I don't believe any of this shit. I think that what's going to happen is because Giannis is eligible for a new extension this summer, he's going to sign it. And everybody's going to look stupid for it. Yeah, everybody's going to look stupid for it. Yeah. Stargate saying, oh my God, trade talk, bro. The fuck? You are mad people. I know normally we don't do this, but I just wanted to. And normally I wouldn't entertain this, but I did bring up like if the whole thing earlier. And once again, I want to say this, even if Donald Ingram or Brandon hears me or something like that, I'd love for you guys to stay. It's just that also I'm exploring ideas for possibles. And in some ways, maybe I'm also throwing a little bit of a distraction away from other guys that are getting thrown in trade rumors all the time. Why don't we just do this just for fun? And say, yeah, why don't you get away from RJ and talking about trading him all the time and maybe start doing a little bit of trade machine with somebody else in our lineup just for fun. Throw them off the scent. That's a little bit of what I'm doing here right now. James is saying Fultz can't shoot. That's a big issue. Hopefully he figures it out. Yeah, the Raptors can't shoot threes and can't shoot very well. So let's go ahead and call up a guy on a 10-day that can't shoot. That really sounds like that's making the situation better, right? That does. I'm getting close to 3 hours. I don't have anybody who's cut me off yet. So please limit your comments for the rest of the 20 minutes. I'm going to try and be done in 3 hours. Kareem's saying I'm piggybacking off what Lex said. Yeah, I know. Don't worry about this. In some ways, you guys that know the rules, that's why Stargate's calling this out. We don't do this very often. I mean, Kareem deserves a little bit of this just because he's the dunk champion and he's been a long time Raptor freak for so long that he deserves it. He deserves a chance. Well, you want to do one trade rumor once a year? No big deal. We could do it a little bit. I just don't want it to be the general action on this channel or general content of this channel. But in some ways, he just gave me a hypothetical. And I said, yeah, I would possibly explore doing this because you think about what we're going to have when we have that then, right? Because in some ways, like, look, Brandon has increased his defense immensely on the Raptors this year. He's done amazing with block shots and getting rebounds and stealing the ball more often. But Giannis is a whole other level of defensive player. And you put him out on the court with Colin Murray-Boyles and Scotty Barnes. Well, I don't think anybody would be able to score on us, right? It's like that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Kaloy saying, this is what I was thinking last night when the Raptors were playing without BI. The team is more dynamic without the ISO part of BI's game. If we can somehow get shooters for him. Yeah, in some ways, that's the risk of guys missing time is you see kind of like, well, what does it look like without them? Yeah. Stargate saying Raptors have 11 games left. The race in the East is very tight in the middle of the pack. Every win counts. This whole it's only the Jazz is no big deal is nonsensical. It's a big deal. It is a big deal. This is pressurized time. I mean, shit. If who lost to the Grizzlies last night? Somebody lost the Grizzlies. Oh, no, they didn't end up losing. They were losing for a little while, but they did end up beating them. Look, if the Bulls can beat the Rockets, if, we're looking at the Magic losing to Indiana last night, come on now. The chance for fucking up is there. The Magic Nation is reeling because of Siakam last night now. Think about they want to be doing stuff like we are, and they want to be out of the play-in, and they were for a second there. And now they've lost to Indiana, the worst team in the East. How do you think Magic Nation is this morning? How do you think Magic Freak's doing his YouTube channel right now? Yeah, he's not wanting to do it because they got embarrassed by the Pacers last night. So, yeah, this is something we got to remember, guys, what Stargate's saying here. James is saying Ingram kind of reminds me of hang on. Oh, wow, we do have a lot of comments still. Ingram kind of reminds me of DeRozan when he goes ISO mode, but Ingram is essential for this team. He's our best scorer. There's a lot of, this is a parallel that you can make. Brandon Ingram and DeMar DeRozan are two of the few players in the league that can actually beat double and triple teams. And it's not necessarily a bad shot when they force their offense against double and triple teams. Yeah, in some ways it drives me crazy because fundamentally that means there's other guys that are open somewhere as the easier shot, but they're that good that they can usually beat these. So, yeah. Nameless is saying, Lex, you should be working for the organization. Seriously, it's a travesty. I bet you understand things more than just a few who do. Well, this is what Fred said on Unguarded recently. It was hilarious. He said that, listen, he's talked to GMs around the league, and one of these GMs he's talking to one time took him to the side and he said, you know what? I want to be honest with you. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just trying to do stuff and see if it works. This may be true. There may be a lot of people working in the NBA in general manager positions or working in, so like Milwaukee, Washington, Sacramento. There's a couple of teams that are really badly run right now with people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. Listen, I probably am a part of the organization on the down low unofficially. In some ways, to do what I'm doing, I can't be officially part of the Toronto Raptors organization. But they'd be dumb not to check in on us every day. And I know they do. If anything, we're a fan YouTube channel that is a customer card at a restaurant, and that Bobby and Dan Tolzman and the rest of them could come in and kind of see what we're doing and talking about for the day. And they do sometimes react to some of the things that we're doing. And there has been weird, eerily timed things where we've suggested things on this show and then they happen. So even if I'm not being paid by them, even if I'm not officially in the organization, I'm a part of the organization, just not officially in any kind of way. And they probably say that too. It's like, man, Raptors Freak is awesome resource because we don't have to do anything and he does what he does. And look at what he's doing. He's educating the Raptors fans to be more knowledgeable, smart fans, to hold the team in the right place. He's fighting the information war in the media in ways that we can't do it because we'd get in trouble if we talked about the refs like him. Or the way he talks about the reporters and the way they cover the game. There's a lot of stuff I'm doing and filling in the blanks on this channel that the Raptors organization official cannot do. And, I like that role in some ways. In some ways, like I said, God Money has no rule over my life. So it's like, I'm not doing this to position myself for a job with Rogers or TSN. I'm not doing this to position myself to get a job in the front office with Bobby Webster. Although if they asked me to come work for them, I probably would, just because it would be awesome and it would be a dream come true. But that's not my ultimate goal or something that I have to have happen. That is something that, you know what, I just want to help the team. And this is how I do it every day, the way I'm doing this right now. Yeah. Yeah. UC's here. Good morning to Raptor Freak UC. Fultz was a rookie when I started really paying attention to each NBA season. So I was basically a rookie as well. So it's kind of surreal to see him play for the Raptors after all these years. I think that's happening with a lot of people. Seeing him in the Raptors red jersey against Utah last night was very strange to some people, I'm sure. Yeah. G Man's here. Good morning to G Man. Or yeah, is it Q Man or G Man? I can't tell if that's a Q or a G. Good morning again. Thanks for the subscription. I just saw a video of how Drew Jones really gives accountability to his guys and still encourages them to play hard in the playoffs. Maybe we should switch Darko for Drew. That's what the guys need. You got this totally upside down, my guy. Listen, the people that are in the Fire Darko camp are not with me. I'm not anywhere near Fire and Darko. Darko's doing a fantastic job. And casuals and nephews are the ones who think he should be fired. And if that insulted you, well, it's meant to, because I stand with my Serbian coach, Darko Rajakovic. Now, what you have to understand is Darko and Vin Banyani and Andrew Jones all worked for Billy Donovan in Oklahoma City. This is where they formed their friendships and their bonds of professional working together. And Drew Jones came to our team handpicked by Darko because he's one of his guys that he can trust. And in some ways, he really respects him. And also, Darko has pegged Drew Jones as an up-and-coming rising star coach in the world. And you got to understand this. He's his protege. You got to act like he's independent of Darko, and if we switch him out, no. Half the shit that Drew Jones is doing is Darko. Everything that the 905 does, their system is Darko's system being implemented at that level by Andrew Jones, holding true to Darko's principles. Now, Andrew Jones is a fantastic coach. You've seen in the open gym is where I'm thinking you saw this. You saw his back behind in the locker room, spirited talk to his coach, to his players. Don't get it twisted. The way that Andrew Jones talks to his players is the same way that Darko does too. The fact that you think that Darko has no accountability for the Raptors shows that you do not know what the fuck you're talking about. Because honestly, you can see it in the game on the TV screen if you're really paying attention. There's very much been oftentimes recently where Darko's dogging out Sandro Mamukelashvili while he's coming off the court. And Darko is telling him what he did wrong, even though Sandro may have done 5 things right. He did 1 thing wrong. And what is Darko doing? He's holding him accountable in real time on the TV screen in front of us. And this shows you're not watching, because you could see Darko talking to the players when they're leaving the court. And what do you think he's telling them? Oh, I love you. You're so good. You did this so good. Oh, I think you're perfect. No, that's not what he's fucking telling them. He's telling them exactly what they did wrong. And he's holding them accountable. You think that he doesn't hold people accountable? You're fucking crazy. And in some ways, I'm going to give you a strike for saying such a nephew comment in some ways about Darko. First of all, there's no Fire Darko camp on the Raptor Freak channel, because to build something right, you have to take the time and go through the ups and downs. And any short-term knee-jerk reactions, fire Darko, I hate him, we lost because he hurt my feelings because we lost. Get over yourself and understand it's a long-term project. And there's ups and downs. And this guy, in the 3 years he's been our coach, is trending up. He's trending up. And that's what we want. So, yeah, you know what? We fired Darko. We start over with a new coach. We have to start the rebuild all over again. So this is a nephew casual take. And if you're trying to say, let's bring up Andrew Jones to come over Darko, well, Darko's Andrew Jones's boss. And he is the one who's mentoring Andrew Jones. And he is a part of why Andrew Jones is successful. So this is the stupidest comment today. I'm just going to make it right now. I don't like to pinpoint people, and I should be nicer. And I appreciate your subscription. If you're pissed off at me, you don't want to watch my channel anymore, too bad. Because talking about Darko getting fired is oh my gosh, that's a big sin on this channel. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Darko's a fantastic coach. And anybody who thinks he's not doing a good job right now, you don't fucking know jack shit about basketball. That's what I say right now. Sorry to come harsh, Q-Man. But your question and what you said, in some ways, yeah. You're off point. And have you watched all the G League games? Great. They are awesome. They're amazing. And Andrew Jones has a bright future, but not at the detriment of our coach, who's doing a fantastic job for the Raptors also. You don't even fucking know. Like, we could have a different coach instead of hiring Darko, and things could be just spinning out and not going anywhere with building up this team. And we're losing like crazy. We are very happy and fortunate to have Coach Rajakovic, because honestly, he's going to bring us our second championship. And you're going to look stupid for thinking this and doubting him at this point. Seriously, he's going to get us there. Trust me, he's going to get us there. Trevor's saying Raptors have 4 more road games left, and then all the rest of them are home games. This is very good for us. Very, very good for us. That's 4 road games and 7 home games in the last 11. Woo-wee! That's music to my ears right there. Chloe's saying, such a powerful statement. Negativity brings failure. AJ gets this. And in some ways, he can feel very negative about the last 24 hours, but he's keeping his head up. He gets this. Yeah, Stargate saying, is Curtis related to Mary? I don't think so. You know, Mary Andrade, I think she's from Portugal or something. And Curtis Andrade, I think he's just a Canadian guy. You know, Curtis is the equipment manager, and Mary Andrade is an assistant coach, just like Andrew Jones for the Raptors. That's right. Names is saying, if you want to keep Andrew Jones, well, you better promote his ass. He's a loyal guy to Darko. Don't get it twisted, man. He understands everything in its right order. He's a loyal guy to Darko. He's a Darko dude. I don't think Q-Man understood this. He's not separate from Darko. He came with Darko. He's handpicked by Darko. Darko handpicked him to get that job. He's the one who sent him there. He said, I trust you, Andrew, because you know me well, and you know how I like to hold things up, and I know you will be me at 905 in my place, and you will run my system correctly so that when we transfer guys from 905 to the Raptors, they'll be ready to play our system, because that's the whole point of our G League, is to have it run exactly like the Raptors. So Andrew Jones is playing and running the system of Darko on the 905 level. And he would tell you, Andrew Jones would say, I love Darko. Darko gave me my chance. He's giving me a chance to show what I'm doing on 905 right now. You know, the one thing that could happen is another NBA team could say, we love this Andrew Jones guy. Let's keep him in consideration and interview him for a head coaching job on our team in a vacancy in the NBA. And if that happens and he gets that job, that's fantastic for Andrew Jones. I'd be so happy for him, because that's the ultimate goal. He does want to be an NBA coach, and he will be, trust me. Now, if he's an NBA coach for the Raptors in the future, that'd be fantastic. But that means probably Darko didn't work out and he had to go somewhere else. But this is the whole thing. I mean, the hierarchy of what's happening with the Raptors right now is Darko's the coach. If we get in trouble in some sort of way, if we really want to retain somebody and they're going to be the head coach of the Raptors, it's going to be Jama. It'll be Mahalea. That's who is the second coach and possibly the guy who would step in to be the head coach of the Raptors. You know, if Darko missed a game like a COVID or something like that, and we have an acting coach for the night, it could be one of 3 guys. It could be Jama. It could be Pat Delaney. It could be Coco Wade. Those 3 guys are the top 3 assistant coaches. Andrew Jones is getting head coaching experience on the 905 right now, and it's going to very greatly help him because he's being successful. He's going to get notoriety, and you'll get more eyes on him. And when he's done at 905, which may be this year, 2 years and he's done, and they send a different Raptors assistant coach down there to coach them next year, Andrew Jones will return to the Raptors bench as an assistant coach next year and travel with the regular Raptors and be a head coach, assistant coach with Darko on that team. That's how it works. If people don't understand how the 905 coaching works, this is how it works. The guys that are the coach that 905 is considered an assistant coach on the Raptors regular. That he can be at Raptors games often. You'll see him on the bench if the 905 are not busy, and he's on there as an extra assistant coach with the Raptors. So that's how it works. He's not independent of Darko. He's one of Darko's guys. He's very close with Darko, in fact. They've known each other for a long time. And when Darko got his head coaching job, he called Andrew Jones and said, I need you now. This is what we dreamed about and talked about in the past. I'm getting my call up in my turn to be a head coach now. And I need you to come and be one of my assistant coaches because I believe in you and we work well together. So, yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there. Let's see. Andrade. Oh, he's Gonzo. Gonzo, I don't know. Even if he goes somewhere else, I'll be proud of him. Just like Adrian Griffin coaching the Milwaukee Bucks. Even if, something like that happens, what can you do? You only have one job. And if you have a guy who's doing it and ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I say. I know Nameless isn't against Darko. Did he say fire Darko just to hire Andrew Jones? In some ways, that doesn't make sense. Because, first of all, Darko has more experience than Andrew. Andrew's much younger, and he still has to have more time to get more savvy and seasoning. You got to realize Darko Rajakovic has been a part of NBA coaching staff since 2004, 2005. So he's been in the NBA for 22 years as an assistant coach or a scout or something. And he waited his turn to get to this. Andrew Jones has got to wait his turn in line too. And if he gets called up and gets hired by another team, they snatch him away. Good for him. We're proud of him. Just like David Roddy on a two-way for the Denver Nuggets. That's just how it goes. Cream saying this, real reason I was mentioning Cam Thomas was because I want a Raptors jersey with my last name on it. I missed out on Matt Thomas and definitely late on John Thomas for the late 90s. Bro, there's eBay. You can't find a Matt Thomas jersey somewhere? I'm sure you can. Come on. This is a lame excuse for why you want to do this. You want to sewer our team with a black hole on offense and no defense and just to get you a personalized jersey? You don't need a player to play on this team. You can go order your name on there and put any number you want. You could go probably find a John Thomas or a Matt Thomas jersey still. Okay? This is selfish, Kareem Thomas. You're not being a team player like Cam Thomas. Neil's is saying, I'm going to be honest. If our two-way gets frustrated, it's not sweat our front office's back because they have 2 draft picks to fill. You have to have a strong mentality to survive. Look at Cam Thomas's failure. That's what I'm saying. Everybody acts like we're supposed to just give people what they want in the NBA. That's not how this works. They have to bust their ass like Jacoby Walter and earn what they get. That's how this works. And I'm not saying these guys aren't busting their ass or earning it. It's not only that. They have to have the timing and the luck that things open up for them to get there too. KT saying after the All-Star break, when we were getting absolutely nothing from our bench, was the time to let Lambo Lawson out the garage. Yeah, I agree with this. I still like to do this. I think that he possibly could help our three-point shooting because he's not a bad three-point shooter when he's on. He is a streak shooter, but when he's on, he's on. Neil's saying Fultz could be here as a hired gun only. Both sides see that advantage to going down this path with him for this season only. Okay. Gobert is ahead of Scotty for Defensive Player of the Year, but if we had wins against Nuggets, Celtics, and Timberwolves, then Scotty would be ahead. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I can't argue with that. I don't know. Gobert has been a classic contender for this. Now, does he have the games played to get it? I don't know if he has the games played to get it. Maybe not. Maybe not. Fiercey's giving me my cutoff. Thank you, Fiercey. I needed that cutoff probably about an hour ago. Let's just put it that way. Stargate saying this. I know Darko has been in here in the past. I wouldn't be surprised if Darko's kids are up in here anonymously. His kid's too young. His kid does not need to be in here with me. Let's just put it that way. We've seen his son. His son is only like 7 or 8, man. You don't need to be watching the Raptor Freak channel. No, he don't. I mean, listen, I don't know who you guys are. You're only names, and I can only go by who you are. And everybody can misrepresent themselves to me. In some ways, I'm very innocent to that. In some ways, I'm very vulnerable in some ways for that. But I don't care. In some ways, it's like, look, you can fool me. I'm just going to act like, you know what? You are what you are, what you present yourself. And I can't go by anything else. Yeah. Let's see. Stargate saying, laugh out loud. We've been hovering around 8 or 10 games above 500 all season long and miles ahead of last season. And people want to fire Darko. Make it make sense. I know. I think that this is just like there's a dumb part of Raptors Nation that thinks he's doing a bad job. That really just doesn't fucking understand basketball at all. I mean, they make me laugh sometimes. And it's like I think it's part of that bot farm that other fan nations are paying for. That on every Raptors interview or anywhere on Reddit, they're fire Darko people are coming in. And it's like Knicks Nation and Boston Nation because they're scared of him because they know he's a good coach and he's making the Raptors better. Anything that does good on the Raptors, there's often a dumbass little minority of Raptors fans coming in to say, we got to trade RJ. We got to trade Jakob. We got to fire Darko. It's because these guys are good for our team, and our enemies, like the Celtics, the Sixers, and the Knicks, their fans want us to do these stupid things because I successfully told them to fire Tom Thibodeau last year, and they did, and it was a dumbass thing to do. And well, they want to give us bad advice too. Fire Darko, fire Darko. So it's Knicks Nation that feeds this bullshit, I'm sure. And casuals and dumbasses in Raptors Nation are sheep and they follow it and they think it's true. That's the sad thing. We're living in a world of disinformation where people can be misled by AI and all kinds of bullshit, and the news is not trustworthy. So people hear ESPN say something or somebody they think knows what they're talking about, and they'll parrot it because they think it's truth. Oh, Jakob's contract is horrible. Okay, sure. You go ahead. Why do you believe that? Because ESPN told me. Okay, so you just told me you can't think for yourself. That's what that is right there. Yeah, Kaloy saying we had a 25-win season, and right now we're at 39. We're at 40. We got our 40th win last night. That is a 14-win increase. Well, we got 30 last year. We went 25, 30, and now we're at 40 for this year. So it's a plus 10 from last year already, and we still have 11 games to go. And, 2 more wins, and we're above 500 this season for sure. He's improved every year. Why the fuck do you fire him? It's like, these people are stupid, man. They want to fire people over one game sometimes. Oh, my gosh, he fumbled this Phoenix game, and it's totally Darko's fault we lost to Phoenix. No, it wasn't Darko's fault we lost to Phoenix. Fire him because we lost this one game out of 82. We're going to fire him for one game. Fucking idiots. It's like, seriously, I'm glad we got this opportunity to talk about this contingency of idiots in Raptors Nation that want to fire Darko. This is important stuff to talk about. Absolute madness. That's right. Absolute madness. Kareem's saying fire Darko is madness. If Keith Pelly fired Masai and Darko in less than a year, he should anoint himself the head coach so he can throw tomatoes and beer cans when he's seen out in public. Kareem Thomas, have a great weekend. Did I ruin your weekend because I fired you, Jerry? Fucking piece of shit. Slug Deezy saying patience, nephews. Exactly. Listen to Unk. We all want to win every game, but it's a process. The games we're giving away in the fourth will be wins in the future. We're on the right track, even though the ride can be bumpy at times. Slug Deezy's getting a dunk. Slug Deezy's often playing the classic card, and he's hanging around and waiting for it. That's why he wants the comments to end. But I'm going to give him a dunk for participating and leaving a comment right here. Slug Deezy is a very knowledgeable basketball fan. It's obvious by his knowledge of the history of the game. And, well, I like it when he comes in and he drops a comment, too, in our chat, other than just playing. So 6 on the dunk chart for him. He's got that Corey Joseph Pickering 6. There you go. I love it. Smooth saying Toronto going to be crazy busy Friday night. Raptors, Blue Jays, and Scepters, all home games. Yeah, the Blue Jays are starting their season this week. I was talking to Steve yesterday. He's going to the home opener with his mom to see the Blue Jays start their season this year. Yeah, and congratulations. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And, well, before you know it, the Tempo are going to be involved in the traffic downtown, too, with the Coca-Cola Coliseum opening up for WNBA season at the end of next month. Yeah, let's go. UC saying, great stream. Appreciate the consistency and dedication for the currently young gun Raptors. That's right. That's right. I appreciate you too, UC. And I'm glad you got to come to Toronto this year and go to a game. Kareem saying, smooth. I get 50% Jays games, no matter the seat. That goes for all MLSE teams. How do you get that? How do you get that? You get that for Raptors games too? What are you doing with your life, Kareem? Get down there. Fiercely saying broadcast showed Will Hardy's record with Utah's 2.7 winning, 27% winning percentage. I believe anyhow, losing record over 4 years. Are fans asking to get rid of him? I don't know, but their front office seems to believe in him and to be patient. Yeah, that cool guy, Ryan Smith or whatever his name is, the president, owner of the Jazz. He's a cool dude. He's a young, hip guy, and he likes his young, hip guy, Will Hardy. He looks like their center, Walker Kessler, like they're brothers. But yeah, exactly. There's all kinds of coaches that are in worse hot seats than Darko. And it's funny how Raptors Nation wants to put him in the hot seat. Some of them. I don't think they're Raptors Nation, honestly. I don't think these are real Raptors fans that are coming at Darko so vociferously. I think that they're, like I said, they're wolves in sheep clothing. acting like they are Raptors fans, coming into spaces and trying to get traction with real Raptors fans to get behind them. And it's stupid, man. It's stupid. Smooth saying, you're very lucky, Kareem Thomas. My wife works for Rogers. That's why. Okay. So Kareem is the man who was married to the machine. Stargate's the man who beat the machine and got away from the machine. And Kareem is the man who is married to the machine. The butt dialer, the full ass. We've had many nicknames for Kareem Thomas over the years. And well, that's these ones. All right, let me check my tabs. And we're over 3 hours. This is Alexathon. That's for sure. Let's see any breaking news on what's going on with the Raptors right now. Blake Murphy's talking baseball. Blech. It's like he switches to baseball very fast. In fact, he's kind of annoyed when the Raptors have postseason because he just wants to jump into baseball. He's pretty annoying for that, honestly. Josh Lundberg saying this. Jamal Shed is the 10th Raptor in franchise history to record a 15 or more assist game and two or fewer assists, joining Jose Calderon, Kyle Lowry, Damon Stoudemire, Mark Jackson, Emmanuel Quickley, Rod Strickland, Rafer Alston, Fred VanVleet, and RJ Barrett. That's with 2 or few turnovers. Sorry. Yeah, he wrote that wrong. So he was one of the 10 Raptors ever to get 15 or more assists with 2 or less turnovers. And you notice they're all point guards and then RJ. That's pretty interesting to me right there. That's pretty interesting. Y'all check on your fantasy teams. We're in the playoffs, and the first night of the playoffs started. And, well, it's hot and heavy with the 8 teams in the playoffs. A very competitive year in our fantasy league. All of our teams have a really good winning records, like seriously good winning records. The worst record is 12-9 in our fantasy championship playoffs. So top-notch 8 teams. I'm really proud of you guys that are in the playoffs. Keep going and, get through the rounds and let's see who wins the trophy. That's right. All right. It's classic card time. I replenished the classic card a little bit here. That's right. Rudy's played 68 games. He's eligible. Yeah, they're more likely to give it to Rudy. I think that's the right thing to think than Scotty. In some ways, it's because Minnesota, and also Rudy's won some already, right? He's won some already. Let's see. Kaloy saying Will Hardy was the IT coach before. I remember the hype when he got hired. He's the IT coach, like the computer coach? That's weird. Fiercely saying Scotty deserves it. All this beautiful stock highlights. Go Bears free throws. Well, it's for defense. It's not for free throws. And, well, as much as we put a spotlight on Scotty, a lot of people don't. Let's just put it that way. All right, here we go. Classic card of the day. This one's really shiny. I hope y'all can see it. And, well, it's kind of an interesting card. I just want to make sure I get the right person. All right, here we go. Classic card of the day. I need the full name answer. It's fairly recent. Oh, crap. His name's on the side. What the hell? They got his name in 2 places. All right, here we go. Who is that, guys? I showed his name by accident already. That's stupid. If you didn't see it, yeah, of course you saw it. James saw it. It's Cody Zeller of the Hornets. It's kind of goofy. James, you'll get it. I'm going to give you 100 points, though, because I think I might have given it away by not having my finger over the name. Cody Zeller. And it's James. Raptor Freak James is getting 100 points added to his Raptor Freak score for getting the classic card of the day. A very, very shiny card. Like, look at this card. It's very shiny. He's a goofy guy, man. He looks like he should be in accounting. This is what he looks like. Yeah, this is Cody Zeller from accounting. All right. Let me wrap it up and get out of here. Man, I'm over time. Seriously, over time. All right, the Raptors won yesterday. The Raptors 905 won yesterday. The stars of the game for both games. First of all, for the Raptors, Scotty Barnes, number 1 star. Sandro Mamu, number 2. RJ Barrett, number 3. Jacoby Walter, number 4. Jamison Battle, number 5. Number 6, Colin Murray-Boyles. And number 7, Grady Dick. And an honorable mention to the chain winner, Jamal Shed. On the other side of things, on the 905 in the earlier game, number 1 star was Tyreek Key, the leading scorer. A.J. Hogarth was the 2nd star. Tyson Degenhart was the 3rd star. I gave the 4th star to Markelle Fultz, and the 5th star was Elijah Martin on that one. All right, we're pretty much done. Tomorrow we're going to do the preview for the Clippers game. I'll have the latest lineup news for both teams. And also the ref report, undefeated. One of the most important things that you probably should hear on any game day is who the hell are the refs going to be? And what does Lex think about what the refs might be for that day? Yeah, Ref Report undefeated. They were goofy last night. But Scott Foster, well, you couldn't railroad a game where the Jazz are doing what the Jazz are doing right now. And I bet you would have if you could have. It was advanced level, a challenge for Scott Foster. And, well, the challenge didn't get done. Raptors won. That's right. That's right. Kaloy saying, I meant that Will Hardy was the next great head coach. And look at his system now. Oh, the IT coach. He was an IT coach. Well, he was a coach from Boston, right? And there's a couple of Boston guys that got head coaching jobs. Him and Charles Lee, as far as like, yeah, they're formerly Boston guys who were with Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzulla, right? Right. Tell Will Hardy to fix our Noah board. Yeah, I don't care about the Noah stuff is funny, but I don't care. The Jazz were done with them for the season. We beat their team twice yesterday, so let's go Raptors. That was awesome. I'll see y'all tomorrow, and yeah, it'll be fun. I'll see you at 9:30, and yeah, I'll catch up with you guys then. Now I'm just gonna eat my chips and enjoy my day. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Raptors.